It is 4 o'clock, so we will start the budget workshop meeting. We will start off with the 2026 budget introduction.
Thank you. So I have a number of things for you today. We have a PowerPoint that incorporates all of our slides. So we'll run through it. You can all operate the PowerPoint from the podium there. I'll give you the mouse. We are recording this, so please turn on the microphone when and if it's time for people to present theirs. Just to start by introducing budget, if this one is going to work. So this is our schedule. We did make one change. The fire department is going to go after that initial break. Chief Peterson has another town of Koshkonong meeting to attend tonight to talk about our budget as it affects their budget. So we have the workshop schedule. This is this is in the way, huh? Put that over here. Okay, so this is the budget summary. This is the first matter here is the general revenues. So this is just the general fund right now, and this is our general revenues. So we're looking at $10,822,043 in general revenues, which is an increase of about 3.14% over the 2025 budget. Obviously, expenditures, general fund expenditures will match that. Let's see, and then when you go down to the levy summary, well, we'll get into that in a moment here. But that's overall it's a 3.14% increase in our general fund revenues and expenditures. So what do those revenues? Where do those revenues come from? We have our general property taxes. That's the tax levy that we talk about so much. That makes up 52% of our general fund revenues. I will just say that our reliance on property taxes has been decreasing over time. So back in 2023, that was at 65%. In 24, it was 60%, 57% in 25, and now 52% in 2026. So that's a really positive thing. It means we have diversified our revenue sources and we're not as reliant on property taxes. So you can see our other revenue sources, commercial revenues, that is our interest income. There's public charges for service. Those are our school resource officer payment from the school district, street maintenance, aquatic center entry fees, pilot payments. Then we also have our regulation and compliance. That's our licenses, building permits, parking violations, etc. The other tax category there is our payment in lieu of taxes from the water department. And then the only one I miss is intergovernmental revenues. That is revenue from the state. Okay, so, and then where does the money go, right? So this is our general fund again. So this is our general fund expenditures, $10.8 million. You can see 50% of that goes to public safety. That's police, fire, and building inspection services. Then we have public works at 17%, general government at 9%, culture and recreation, that includes parks and recreation, museum, that is 16%. Our public service enterprises we'll get into a little bit more later. That includes both our contingency fund, and this year it includes a transfer out to the transportation fund. Conservation and development is our economic development, our forestry, and then we shifted some of our building inspection director of neighborhood services salaries to that conservation and development fund. Note that this does not include our other levied funds, library, debt service, CIP, and transportation, and TID, and we'll get into those a little bit later. So the next number I'm going to show is these. So this is our general fund revenues, and then we add in our other levied funds, and we come up with this $14.3 million. So on the expenditure side, excuse me, we have that, and then we add those expenditures. These are all levied funds, so those are coming from the property tax levy to get to that balanced budget of $14.3 million. And this is not going to show us well, but you can see that in 2026, the levy is actually decreasing by $23,000. And when you add in the TIDS, you can't see those numbers right there. I apologize for that, but it's actually decreasing by $366,000 or 3.77%. Okay, so this is what our general fund revenue chart looks like, including all of that general fund and the property tax revenues without our TIDS. So again, that's the $14.3 million. So you can see 63% of that is general property taxes and our other revenue sources as we went through before. Again, in 2023, this was 69%. In 24, it was 69%. In 25, it was 67%. So we are slowly reducing our reliance on general property taxes. And that's not necessarily cutting, obviously, it is our other revenue sources growing. And this is the expenditure chart, including all of our levied funds without our TIDS. Again, it matches at 14.3 million, and you can see where all the money is going. So I will point out that in addition to, so this is a bigger pie. So we have all those categories that we just talked about for expenditures, but then this also includes our transportation fund, the library fund, the CIP, and debt service fund. So those are other funds that we levy for. And that little health and social services fund for 34.5 is the Humane Society contract that the council just approved last night. So this is our budget summary. This will be part of the resolution that eventually comes back to council for action in November. You can see again those the 3.14% increase in general fund revenues and expenditures over 2025. And then that decrease of, I think we can't see it on either screen, so I apologize for that. A decrease of 3.77% from the 2025 levy. So the expenses did increase while the levy decreased. And why is that, right? Well, we had a lot of changes. A lot of things are going into this budget this year. We have an increase in our debt service payment of $273,000. Our net new construction was 0.67%, which allows us to add $40,000 in additional levy for over the whole city. TID 8 did close, so the value, value of the city as a whole increased, while the total value within TIDS decreased. So that that affects our levy. Obviously, that was and then the levy reduction due to garbage and recycling moving from the levy to a special charge on the property tax bill. So those are all the things that are included in the budget this year. All right. So I cannot tell you what the mill rate will be yet because I don't have the aggregate assessed value from the state. I won't get that until the end of October. So, but this is an estimated mill rate. So you can see how the decrease in the levy, if our aggregate assessed value is 2% over the 2024 aggregate assessed value, then we would be looking at, for the city's portion only, potentially a 5.7% decrease in the property tax bill. And you can see on the table the various values of assessed property and then the difference in the 2025 tax bill versus the 2024 tax bill. Okay, and this is another estimated mill rate. So this is if that aggregate assessed value remains the same. So if there's no change from 2024, then we'd be looking at a potential 3.8% decrease in the property tax bill. Okay, so big picture CIP stuff here. Our total request for 2026 was just over $3 million. We have $264,400 that are levied funds that go towards CIP items. The 2026 borrowing, which is pictured, a summary is pictured below. We'll talk more about that on kind of the back end of this workshop. But $1.5 million is coming from the potential 2026 borrowing. Transportation funds total just over $1 million. The CARES Act funds, those are dedicated to the airport, $73,000. The library trust is proposed to pay for $160,000, and the museum trust $200,000. And then our water, wastewater, and stormwater utility CIPs for 2026. The table on the slide here shows the proposed 26-27 borrowing. So this is $2.9 million in general fund, funds borrowed that will have to be paid back through the levy over 20 years. There's $500,000 in water, and then for a total of $3.4 million. Again, we will talk about this later, more later on the back end of this workshop. But we also have, remember, in 2024, we had a note anticipation note, the series 2024B, that was for infrastructure for Ridgeview Estates. At the time, we always called it Banker Road. We have to refinance that. It was a note anticipation note, so we actually have to issue the note. We'll be doing that along with this borrowing in 2026. That is a $3.5 million. So we'd be looking at a total of around $6.9 million in borrowing for 26. However, that levy general fund column, that 2.9 is all that has to be paid back by the general fund. So that additional $3.5 million that we need to refinance will all be paid back through TID 9 over the life of the TID. Okay, and our major projects, these are just some of them. We're looking at strategic planning in 2026. We're looking at getting that affordable housing fund, the program and policy implementation, finishing up our Banker Road relocation design and Ridgeview Estates Phase 2, our South Main Street pedestrian path, and facility improvements and purchase of vehicles and equipment. And that's going to take up a lot of of those capital funds. We're still master planning for the airport. We've got some aquatic center improvements, election material upgrades, our electrical bucket truck. We've got a fire department battalion vehicle and ambulance and equipment, a library sorting machine. We've got ramps and security in the municipal building. So these will all be, mentioned over the next, 4.5 hours here, but just wanted to start to touch on those major projects. Okay. That is my intro. You have the memo. I did prepare a memo for this, for the packet. If anybody has questions on that memo or on the things that I've covered so far, we can certainly address those now. I was a little bit quicker than I anticipated. So if anybody does have questions on those first few items, I can answer them now. And if there are none, then we will move on to some of our department presentations. Okay, with that, I will welcome Ben Dayton and provide him the mouse.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everybody. I tried a different way to do my slides and some of it didn't quite transfer over. So we'll see what works and what I'm going to have to adjust. So I'm happy to be here again. We'll dive right into it. So just an overview of our department. We have 9 full-time staff, approximately 150 part-time staff across a variety of different divisions, providing a variety of different services to the community. And I'll jump into that a little bit later. We are truly that quality of life department. We provide open spaces and activities for just about everybody in the community. Here's a quick look at our organization chart within the department. You can see our major divisions. Our admin program and coordinator is actually is part of that rec side of things and works alongside our recreation supervisor to provide adult programming. We have the dance studio, youth center, and then the aquatic center. In total, if you add up all of our part-time staff, we come up to about 12 FTEs with our part-time staff. So it's pretty remarkable how we provide programming, but then also provide job opportunities for a lot of young people as well. So getting into our parks, as you can see, there's a lot that we are responsible for. We're responsible for maintaining, making upgrades, watering plants, watering flowers, the cityscape program, all throughout downtown and throughout the city. For our 25 CIP, we successfully completed the crack fill, seal, and seal coat at Rock River Park. So that looks really great. It's one of the better looking parking lots we have. But as you can see, we have 23 parking lots throughout our parks. So there's a lot of other ones that are not that beautiful. We also purchased another truck, which was needed, and then are making some restroom repairs now that the season is closing this weekend. In 2026, we have a Ford F450, which is replacing our F350, and that will include a dump bucket as well, which we also are responsible for clearing those parking lots in the winter. So that'll be a nice plow vehicle for us. Some of our accomplishments include the Jones Park batting cage, which was very popular with the community. And then our successful implementation of our work order system, and then also adding a lot of data to our GIS. Some of the goals for next year include ongoing audit of our deferred maintenance items throughout the park system, and then also continuing to collaborate with those community partners on upgrades and partnerships with several projects. Our aquatic center had another successful year. As you can see, 31,000 in attendance, or over 31,000. Our bathhouse saw a facelift, both inside and outside. The new showers were a great addition. And then also on the exterior, we did an in-house upgrade to the exterior of the building. We also added that IT updates, the internet, and then also phone line that was required because our analog phone line was being discontinued. So we needed to make that upgrade, and that launches us into this 2026 opportunity where we could see updates to our IT, our security cameras, our network, and then a POS system, depending on how that all shakes out. Some of the goals that we have for 26 is to streamline some of our maintenance. We had a new staff member there, and we are reorganizing things as far as where our park staff are mainly. So we're going to improve some of our daily tasks and make sure that we're creating some new updated SOPs for our part-time and our full-time staff down there. And then continue to see what else we can do as far as upgrades that are low cost, and then also make the facility more appealing and keep it looking nice for the community. Because as you can see, it's heavily used. Our senior center sprang a leak, so that was an accomplishment for this year. We have that scheduled. We are going to get that replaced on the 20th and the 21st this month. And that was kind of one of those unforeseen, I guess, challenges that popped up. But with that said, it also brought to light all of the other roofs that we have within our facilities. So I did an audit of that earlier and am continuing to work on some of those other larger items. Next year we will be replacing our multi-zone air conditioner units. Our senior center is a cooling center for the city, so when it's on a really warm day, we provide that space for the community to go and just get some relief from the heat. And then our other goals are advancing our goals and objectives that were stated in the Wisconsin Association of Senior Centers accreditation process. So we are an accredited senior center, and along with the senior center board, we set goals for making sure that we can provide the best programming as possible. The Muni and Rec section, the Muni building is home to our rec programming, the Main Street Dance Studio, and then also the Youth Center, in addition to our offices, the administrative offices. So it's a very heavily used building. This year we are still in process of that reconfiguration of the two office areas. So I'm continuing to work on that. And then we also are updating the lights to the LED lighting, which will provide cost savings in the long run. So in 26, we're looking at replacing our ramps, which is needed pretty heavily. And then also the stairs and the railing, it's all kind of a whole, well, ADA compliance, get them back up to compliance. And then some of the accomplishments that we had for this year, we had our first ever used equipment sale, which was a win on both sides. We raised money for a fund or for scholarships, but then also got rid of a bunch of stuff. So it was a great accomplishment for our rec side of things. And then going into next year, really honing in on our marketing strategies because it's an ever-changing world, and so we're not always reaching everybody. So we want to make sure that we can do the best that we can to connect with the community. So with that, I will take any questions that you may have.
I did have a resident ask me if the gym is open for like older folks in the winter to walk.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we have like a daily open gym time during the noon hour.
Okay,
Somebody reached out last winter actually about walking in the gym, and that's totally fine. Some of our staff do it as well. So
Okay.
it's open for basketball, shooting around, or walking around.
okay, thank you.
I will just, along that line, mention that Base is opening up their facility this winter for walking as well, for adults. Yep. And they might not have to dodge a bunch of basketballs. That might be a better location to walk. I believe they just published some information on that, either on their website or through social media.
You had an intern working or
Yeah.
still?
Oh, no, she's done now.
Or do,
but yeah.
or do you plan on continuing with an internship through the office or?
I hope so. I have a close connection down at UW Whitewater, and so yeah, I'm hoping that we can continue to have that happen. It was a great experience for her, and then a great experience for us as well. I think it's been several years since there was an intern in our department, so plan to continue that as long as they come find us. Right.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good evening. I thought I'd start mine with a historic photo. Why not, right? So this picture is actually from the museum's archives. The back of it says Nob Hill, 1957. So Nob Hill, of course, is the Kramer, Hillcrest, Clout, Zafke neighborhood. So this is when it is being developed. So we're standing a little bit on Hillcrest. You can just see Kramer down being developed kind of down in here. And this is Kramer. And then Zafke would be over here. Way over here is Rockwell Elementary, and here's Evergreen Cemetery. And so I pulled this out and wanted to show it because hopefully very soon this is what Ridgeview Estates will look like, right? Where houses are being developed and new neighborhoods are being built. And you think about what this neighborhood looks like now when it's tree lined and peaceful and just a perfect place to, I don't know, ride a bike or walk a dog like I do. Since I live in this neighborhood, we frequent these streets and it is a beautiful place. So I'm looking forward to seeing in 20 or 30 years, the new Ridgeview Estates looking like this does now. So just to show that change happens and sometimes we forget where we came from, but we should remember where we came from so we know where we're headed. And we'll be headed this direction shortly. Okay, so of course, sorry, History Museum had to pull out a historic photo. So just to kind of recap what the museum is, we are a community and regional asset. We're extremely flexible. We serve a variety of capacities to all of our stakeholders and users. Our primary function is to tell the story of Fort Atkinson's history, which dates back, about 12 to 15,000 years. On average, we have somewhere between 17 to 20,000 visitors a year visit the museum to explore. And we draw visitors to Fort Atkinson, and then we serve as a tourism asset for the area. We have visitors obviously from Fort Atkinson, but also other Wisconsin towns, states, and countries from around the world. So I decided to do mine in pictures. Sorry, I hope that's okay. So the museum has 2 full-time staff, and then 5 part-time positions. The full-time staff are both City of Fort Atkinson employees, and the part-time staff are all employees of the Fort Atkinson Historical Society. We rely very heavily on our 100 plus member volunteer corps to help with everything that the museum does. From leading tours to serving ice cream to helping visitors understand programming, our volunteers help us with everything. In fact, one part-time employee position is dedicated solely to coordinating our volunteers. The phrase herding cats has been used with that position some. But our volunteers on average donate the equivalent time of roughly 2.5 to 3 full-time positions to the museum. And nowhere in anyone's budget is adding 2.5 to 3 full-time positions. So we are very grateful for them. Again, as I mentioned, we have the partnership between the city and the Fort Atkinson Historical Society. Both entities help support the museum. The city supports utilities, infrastructure, the building, and again, the full-time positions and benefits. And the Historical Society supports programs, exhibits, outreach, and things of that sort, and the part-time positions. A goal that museum staff had this year was to do more exhibits. We have the items, we have the stories, let's tell them. So this year we opened, or last fall actually, we opened a temporary exhibit on the life and story of Barbara Lorman. So in museum speak, a temporary exhibit is an exhibit that's open anywhere from 2 weeks to a few years. It's just the idea that it's an exhibit that won't be up all the time. Barbara lived in Fort Atkinson, for decades. And while here, she helped raise her family, helped her husband, Milt, run Lorman Metals, and was our state senator for 14 years. Barbara gave the museum an amazing amount of items from her time in office and her family history, plus her business. And we as staff pulled from those items for her exhibit, such as this really great campaign sign over here. That we are in the process of hanging up for the exhibit. After the exhibit was installed, we had an exhibit opening and we invited Barbara, who's in the next picture over. This is Barbara. She lives in Middleton now. And then also present were our current state senator and representative who are in the last 2 pictures. Barbara was the first Republican woman senator to be reelected. And so it's very fitting that our current representatives are also both women. We also, there we go. We actually just this past weekend opened a new exhibit on the Marino Accomando Nelson family. The Marino Accomando family immigrated to Fort Atkinson from Sicily in 1955. And so Mima Accomando Nelson, who is this lovely lady right here, she immigrated as a young girl and she donated her family's items to the museum and inspired us to create this exhibit. Her family kept everything. So the mannequins we have here wearing the clothes, they're actually wearing the same clothes in the picture behind them. And this is from when they first arrived in Fort Atkinson. Mima was 5, so this is her dress right here. Her brother was 3, and these are his clothes, and those are her parents' suit and her mom's dress. And it's just amazing, all the things that they kept. This exhibit will keep open during till the end of the year. And then this Saturday, we'll be opening a new exhibit on Governor Hord and his family, looking at 3 generations and the legacy of them. Also this year, we accepted one of the largest archival donations I've seen in 25 years of museum work. The Daily Jefferson County Union moved offices and inquired if the museum would be interested in their newspaper morgue. A newspaper morgue is where they put their research files, clippings, photos from the paper. It's their research and information. And so, of course, we were interested in saving it. So 14 filing cabinets later, which translated to 91 banker's boxes, we are now the proud owners of their morgue, which is about 70 years of our community's history. And these are all primary sources. So we will be incorporating all of these into the museum's official archives. Since we are also funded in part by the Fort Atkinson Historical Society, they are a membership organization. So each year, as an incentive and benefit for membership, we hold a few members-only programs. This year, we held 2 tours, one of the police and fire stations and one of the effigy mounds on Koshkonong Mounds Golf Course. So thank you so very much to Chiefs Peterson and Bump and Captain Lindsay for helping to assist with tours of the stations. And we made a great flotilla of golf carts going through Koshkonong Mounds as we explored. So here are some quick snapshots of programming from 2025. We started the year with Tim Humphrey giving a masterclass in flower arranging. We held our 49th annual ice cream social with Dick and Carol Wani receiving their sundaes, and our 11th annual Dairy Day with Deputy Secretary Eileen Schweitzer as an unexpected guest. So this is her here, and then one of our dairy farmers who brings her cows every year as well. We held our monthly 1841 Foster House and 1901 Water Tower tours. We tried to theme programming at the Foster House. So this is the Foster House here, and we're getting ready to talk about historic clothing, which is why the mannequin's in front of it. We don't do themes of the Water Tower because the theme is just water. That's all there is. And we were honored to be a site of a PBS event location. We hosted the premiere screening of Welcome Poets, which is a new film that compares Nick Gulig, the former poet laureate of Wisconsin, and Larry Niedecker, a Fort Atkinson poet. Both of them have Fort Atkinson connections. And so Welcome Poets, the film, not only used our archives extensively, but has also been selected to be part of the Short Film Festival circuit. So there's more coming for that. We are a place, we work very hard to be a place where everyone, regardless of age or background, can feel included and inspired. So our programming for preschool and school-age children is exceptionally active for a museum our size and a town our size. From our mornings at the museum preschool program held the first Friday of the month to our programs created for school children. These programs are the reason for one of my favorite metrics to share, that our #1 repeat visitor is families with children under the age of 15. Children grow up in our museum and feel a part of it from an early age. And families know they'll be welcome to at our museum. And so, let's face it too, being free is a nice incentive as well. So thank you to the support of the City of Fort and the Historical Society for that. So our thanks to Police, Fire, and DPW for participating in our morning at the museum and for showing off their storytime skills. And hopefully it's also good positive outreach for them as well. And our thanks to Purdy Elementary, 4th grade, for being our guinea pigs as we created a field trip with hands-on activities such as candle dipping, handwriting with steel tip pens, and playing 19th century games. So now we have a better idea of how to expand those offerings to all Fort schools. So as we look back at our 2025 goals, they included expanding the museum's exhibits, programming, and volunteer corps, which we did through activities such as our 4th grade hands-on programming, the exhibits I discussed, and each activity that we do helps bring in new people and new energy and share the message of just how great the museum is. And also a goal was to replace our elevator, which was parts of our elevator as part of our CIP project. So due to the installer schedule and other issues, this project has been scheduled for January 2026. However, the museum CIP funds are taken from the city's Hord Museum Trust, and therefore moving the project back to 2026 won't affect the budget. For 2026, our goals include several similar projects, such as expanding our marketing, continuing our exhibits and activities, but they also include several very fun facility projects, such as a new roof on the museum building, which is included in the 2026 CIP budget, a new roof on the Foster House, which will be funded by the Fort Atkinson Historical Society, repairs replacement to the Anderson Peony Garden wall. It's leaning in, it shouldn't lean in. So it will need to be dug out and replaced. But again, that's a Fort Atkinson Historical Society expense. And then not facility related, we're looking forward to recognizing both the 250th anniversary of the founding of our country and the 190th anniversary of the founding of Fort Atkinson. Since we're a bit lacking in Revolutionary War sites here in Wisconsin, we'll have plenty to celebrate with Fort Atkinson. So through all of our activities, we continue to try to work to fulfill the museum's mission of preserving, protecting, and promoting the history and culture of our area. And we strive to continue to be an asset for the community and support it as it supports us. Any questions?
Just one item to mention, Marilee. We have, the city and the Historical Society have had a memorandum of understanding for the last 3 years. We did, I guess, renegotiate or talk to the Historical Society about that MOU, and they did approve 1 year. So that MOU has been in place for the last 3 years. It really just, the Historical Society pays for a small portion of the museum director's salary through that MOU, and that will continue into 2026. So I just wanted to mention that. And then one of the other goals in 26 is going to be the city, the Historical Society, and the Dairy Shrine coming back to the table to talk about revenues and expenses and how to continue to maintain the museum as a long-term asset, and everybody pay their fair share to do so.
It was very cool to hear that you had a special visitor from Madison recently, the governor stopping by. So congratulations on
thank
being
you.
a facility worth having a governor stopping
Thank
on.
you. That was the Dairy Shrine, the National Dairy Shrine invited him to come as part of, they knew they would have a tour visit that day for World Dairy Expo. So Governor Evers found time in his schedule to come and visit. And he said several times he'll have to come back. So I look forward to that day. Great. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Next, we are going to talk about the library. So to start off with just a very brief overview of finances, about 65% of the revenues that come in for the library come from the city. But I also think it's interesting to point out that 32% of our revenues come from county and adjacent county funds. And that's actually required by state statute, but it does demonstrate that our library serves the community members of Fort Atkinson, but also community members outside of the city. And we are reimbursed for that, which is wonderful and really helps us out. Looking on the expenses side, about 70% of our expenses are spent on staffing. Our building continues to be another part where we spend a significant amount, 11% on the building and about 9% on collections. But this is very similar to what we've seen in previous years. Looking at our staff, the library has 6 full-time staff members and about 15 part-time staff members, making up about 10.5 FTE positions total. We have had a lot of staffing changes in 2025. We hired Carly Hine as our marketing and interlibrary loan librarian earlier in 2025, and we recently hired Molly Sawyer as our cataloger. And I'm happy to say that both of them had already been working at the library in part-time roles. We still did do full hiring processes. I interviewed lots of people, but these 2 internal candidates rose to the top, and they're really doing well at the library. And we've got a really great team working for us, which is great. Also in 2025, we held staff training sessions on 2 main days about a variety of topics. We looked at our new catalog. We worked with the police department to do active threat training. We had hands-only CPR training, how to use an AED training, and then also training about 211, which is a good resource for library staff to be able to refer people to. Looking at our collections, in 2025, we added a circulating puzzle collection that is just doing so well. We have more than 300 puzzles that we now check out. We also were able to access some grant funding to purchase 22 brand new large format puzzles based on the recommendation of a community member who happened to come in when we heard that we had access to this funding. So we purchased 22 new Ravensburger puzzles with larger pieces that are easier to see and hold. And those items are just circulating so well, which is really great for the library's circulation numbers, but I also think we're filling a need in the community. We were able to add an Explore Pass for Little Rainbow's Play Place in Fort Atkinson, it's been very popular, and it kind of rounds out our Explore Pass collection where we offer passes to area attractions that people can check out for free and access those opportunities without using as much of their own funding. Looking ahead to 2026, we will discontinue Hoopla, which is a digital circulation service. It's become necessary due to the rising cost of that service. We also will budget less for physical audiovisual collections following circulation trends where we are seeing those collections, their circulation continue to decrease. Also in 2026, we will invest more in Overdrive Advantage, which is another way that we offer access to digital items, largely to make up for discontinuing Hoopla. So we are not trying to cut residents' access to digital materials. We're just trying to provide them in a more fiscally responsible manner. Looking at circulation, I always like looking at our year-to-date money saved number. So as of the end of September, we have saved community members more than $2.5 million by them checking out items from the library versus purchasing them individually. So I think we bring a lot of value to our community. I have a picture of one of our patrons holding his receipt, where at the bottom of every checkout receipt, we tell community members how much money they saved by using their library that day. And that community member is so excited to see his number every time he checks out. Just recently, he hit $23,000, and he's so excited. I know it doesn't look like he's happy, but he really is. He came back in his best shirt and his favorite Packers hat to pose for that picture, and he's willing to offer autographs if anyone's interested. We're happy to provide those services to our community members. We also partnered with the school district of Fort Atkinson to make 185 new library cards for students in the school district when families opted in during the school registration process. And I did include a graph looking at our 2025 year-to-date circulation. About 80% of our circulation is physical and about 20% is digital. So while digital circulation continues to rise, our physical circulation is still very healthy and a big part of what we do. Looking at programs that we offer, so far in 2025, we've offered 309 programs with almost 7,000 attendees. We were very pleased to offer author events with Nicholas Butler, Nick Gulig, and Geo Rutherford. Just recently, we hosted Mark Moran for an antiques appraisal event that was very well received, and we were able to pay for that with grant funding. Which it was a great opportunity for our community members. I included a picture of a new program called Explore Together, where our youth services librarian Daphne is organizing field trip experiences for homeschoolers in the community. They took a field trip to the Fireside, and I'm jealous that I didn't go along. They got to see all the inner workings of the Fireside, which is wonderful. Looking at our space, in 2025, one of our planned CIP projects was to replace our server, which is that black box with all the wires. So we did finish that in August, which is a necessary upgrade. Not a planned CIP expense, but a necessary one. We are still in the process of replacing our rooftop condenser. So it has been ordered. We'll hear more when it's at their shop and it's been inspected, but it will be completed in 2025. We also entered an HVAC preventive maintenance agreement with a company. The rooftop condenser experience was eye-opening, and we're going to benefit from consistent professional eyes on all of our bigger equipment to keep the library running the way it needs to run. Another planned 2025 CIP project was upgrading our teen room furniture, which we are in the process of working on. Looking ahead to 2026, we will upgrade our analog phone lines, which we have to upgrade and likely replace our phone system. And then we also plan to replace our automatic material handler in our book drop room, which is that picture in the lower right corner. The machine is telling us that it's done. It has not been working for months, and it was intermittently out for big chunks of 2025. And the machine, while expensive, saves us a lot of time. And when it's working well, it provides good accuracy and allows our staff to focus on things that people can handle better than machines. So I do believe that it's a worthwhile cost. And the library board has promised to reimburse from the library's trust for these CIP projects for 2026. We've had a number of technology upgrades in 2025. We launched new email notices with LX Starter that includes book cover images. So it's a nice upgrade. We also launched our new room reservation software that allows members of the public to book their own meeting rooms if they'd like to. And I've been watching statistics, and so far about 20% of people are booking their own meeting rooms. We're happy to book for people if they're not comfortable, but for some, it's a nice option to see what's available and when it's available, and also get email reminders about what they've booked going forward.
I'm sorry, Amy.
Yes.
Do you need to have a library card in order to book a room? No.
Absolutely not. No, we try to offer as many services as we can without requiring library cards. If you want to take materials out of the building, that's when we want a library card, but all of the other services we offer widely. And we're happy to offer library cards to anyone too. So I don't think that's too big of a barrier, but still. We also purchased 4 new laptops for staff and public use, and then we use grant funding to purchase 2 Meeting Owl 3s that members of the community can also reserve with our room reservation software if they'd like to. And then we worked with our library system to launch the Vega Discover catalog. The biggest upgrade with that new catalog is that it rolls up different formats of the same title. So there we can see the title James. It'll show, it's kind of a little bit more like Amazon, but will never be like Amazon, and we know that. It shows the book and the audiobook and the large print all on one record, which is a little bit more intuitive for our community members. But the old catalog hasn't gone away. So for those who aren't ready for this change, the old catalog still exists. Looking to the future, in 2026, we will start working on a new strategic plan because our current strategic plan will expire at the end of 2026. And then I always like to mention that we will continue to serve our community by providing access to books, resources, spaces, and opportunities. It's exciting to do all of these bigger projects, but really we also are there to do the day-to-day customer service and access to information and resources, and we're happy to do that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that I have to follow those nice slides. I don't have any for you. We spoke about this earlier today, and I realized that I really don't think I have a lot of pictures to share to put into a slide. So I'll do my best here to keep you along. I'll be presenting here the new Department of Neighborhood and Building Services, which put into place a couple months ago, which has building and zoning, code enforcement, airport falls underneath there, as does the electrical department. Nick will speak on his own department though. And then also a potential for a building and facilities manager. So I'll touch on that here in a minute. But I'll start with the building inspection and zoning division at this point. To start with our core functions, we manage building permits, zoning permits, zoning review, plan review, look at CSMs and coordinate those with staff to review all those items and then bring them in front of Plan Commission and City Council when appropriate. Also with our permits, we are doing about 95% of our permit applications are coming in digitally now, with not quite the same percentage of payments over the internet, but we're getting there, which has streamlined everything and made everything convenient. But we still do offer paper and cash payment, check payment for those citizens and contractors that are not comfortable using the internet. We also continue to be work with builders and contractors to update their contact information as well as homeowners so that we can contact them easier, more efficiently, and not with that nasty letter that comes in the mail occasionally when we're trying to get a hold of somebody. We try to avoid those. And then also converting our paper plan sets digitally. We do a little bit each year to kind of chip away at that. But we are making some headway and focusing on some of our more historic ones and trying to get those on a digital format so they are safe and easily viewable. Also, for something else that earlier this year was a certificate of occupancy requirement the City Council passed, requiring any changes to occupancy classification, whether there is an improvement to the building or not, to require that certificate. And that, you know, improves record keeping and safety, reduces the need for code enforcement because it's creating a single point of contact with my department to direct them to what they need to do for improvements in that building. So that's fairly new, so haven't seen a lot of those, but I've already had contact with several businesses looking to move locations, and luckily all three of those, I believe, none of them needed a certificate of occupancy. They weren't changing the use. So but it's nice that they can feel comfort in knowing that, as well as we can update some contact information at that time. Also continuing collaboration with the police and the fire department and really all other departments in the city to promote safety and do inspections, and really just kind of do a little outreach with the community and make sure that we're serving everybody's needs, but at the same time, we're all kind of following the rules. And then looking forward, I want to take a look at our website, try to make that a little bit more manageable, especially with the new department name, kind of organize that, and then also work with website design and see if we can get more information on there that's easily accessible for everybody. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for the building and zoning. Thank you. I'll move on from there. If at any point after I move on from one department position here, please ask any questions if you have any. From there, I'm going to move on to a potential new spot, which would be the building facilities management, which, as you can hear from a couple of our previous presenters with the museum and the library, as well as the senior center with parks, we do have maintenance that comes up and that may not be planned. And then hopefully with this new position, we can set up a person designated to really monitor those things and hopefully stay ahead of maintenance. The need right now is once again is that deferred maintenance and higher long-term costs when those things are not planned for. And it's no fault of that department in that they're not trained. That's not their specialized training. So somebody that is specialized in maintaining buildings would make sense to keep track of those things. That position would coordinate repairs and manage maintenance costs, oversee long-term capital improvement planning for those things, track facility conditions and budgets, and then also reduce costs with preventive maintenance, and also reducing costs by potentially having a contract that's citywide for maintenance and rather than hodgepodge or individual companies managing individual facilities. And then hopefully with all that, that would extend the life of our facilities and the equipment in those facilities. Any questions with that one? I feel like I'm moving along too fast.
When, ideally, when would that position be filled?
If the city council, agrees with that, we would be looking at January 1
Use
to
the
start
advertising to,
implementing
like-
that. Yeah.
And that's a full-time position?
Yes.
So it's
Full-time.
pretty much management, correct? Or administration? They're not doing the plan maintenance, they're just,
Correct. There may be
Okay.
some light, hands-on stuff that would be involved with that, but mostly management.
okay, and currently each department head does it?
Yep, they manage their own buildings.
Okay.
All right. I'll move on to the airport, which is also a new one for me this year, and my joke is, it's my new hobby. It's a little more involved than I anticipated, but we're also doing a lot of planning and some improvements and working with the DOT on those. So we have some ongoing projects. Most of those projects, I just want to point out right away are planned to be paid for out of the CARES Act funding. I don't know if, as you may know, our airport funding is 90-10 cost sharing. So the federal government, FAA, pays for 90% of improvements, at least ones that we plan for and proposed and that they approve of. And then that other 10% is covered by the state Bureau of Aeronautics and the city itself. So the cost per each of those projects can reach a high dollar amount, but the city's obligation tends to be on the lower level of those, which is beneficial. But so we want to take advantage of those projects when they are approved. So one thing we're working on right now is the airport master plan. As a council member, Peggy or Huckabee was involved on the technical advisory committee, which was a very overhead view of planning to come about and just kind of get some feedback from airport users, city staff and city council. And then we'll be moving forward with further planning on that. The master planning process is essential because it makes our municipal airport available for funding, and certain projects we have to be up to date with that. So we're keeping up with that. Another project that has previously been approved is still in the planning process, but it is moving forward, would be the runway lighting and navigational upgrades. They'll be converting the airport runway lighting to LED and making electrical upgrades at the airport. I should also point out that that master plan will also look at our long-term growth out there, see what would be useful. If projection shows that it's still going to be just a general airport, there may not be a lot of advancements that need to happen out there. But it is taking a long-term look at that and see what the approximate costs would be and what those could amount to. There's also, we have some city-owned infrastructure out there. There's a barn that is in need of a roof replacement. We're continuing to look at that's in the CIP that you'll see for replacement of that roof. We'll continue to assess if that is feasible or if, if taking that barn down makes more sense. But as of right now, we plan for a repair on that roof. It could also be another funding source. If we can get that watertight, it could be another place that could be leased out to an airport user. That's it. Oh, sorry. No, I got code enforcement. Got myself all mixed up here. There we go. Sorry about that. So once again, I'll end this portion with code enforcement before I hand off the electric department to Nick. Current progress right now, we've achieved a new milestone. We adopted some new reinspection fees for continued enforcement of code enforcement itself. It supports a different avenue for timely compliance and cost recovery for the actual person that is encountering the code enforcement, and fairness, ensuring that the repeat non-compliance does not place financial strain on the average citizen that is not requiring that action. Some of the challenges that we have with code enforcement right now is a staffing challenge. Right now, the police department handles a part-time staffing member that has been difficult to keep filled. Most of the time it's because it's a part-time position and it's not for everybody. So we're looking at ways to figure out how we can keep that staffed. One of those things we're looking at is an option of contracting with outside code enforcement service. There's a potential there. We're still, looking at that option. Funding for that would come from those reinspection fees. But ultimately, the goal is for compliance and not for addressing more fees, but those would go hand in hand. If their presence isn't needed, then we're not paying for that time for them to be here. So they would kind of go hand in hand. But what that would bring would be some consistent coverage, faster response times, and reliable follow-up. Right now, we have a gap in there with staffing changes. I don't have the physical time to go out there and do all that, so we're looking at options to keep that moving along in a safe and fair way. But we do want to remain our focus on education and cooperation before that enforcement. That is the main goal, and hopefully with more cooperation and with education, we can reduce the number of offenders and potentially in the future, we won't need help in those, and that could be handled by a part-time person. And once again, with that, I appreciate the time to be here and tell you about what we do, and welcome any further questions that you have.
Do you see, like, are there trends in code enforcement violations? Like, are there more or less? I mean, some of it depends on like how much you're able to get out and sort of get, how many.
Yeah, a lot of them are
reported to you?
seasonal. Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of them are seasonal that at least that the police department's encountering from the building safety aspect of it. A large portion of the ones that I encounter on my portion that I'm looking at are going to be absent landlords that we have an issue with, where they have tenants in their building and they are not keeping up with those buildings. And of course, the tenant's not going to do the repairs. It's not their building. So finding a solution to that that is not cumbersome and does not take a great deal of effort staff wise is where that reinspection fee stuff comes in, and that hopefully that can help pay for more eyes and that continued action rather than a stop in time or something having to restart because we couldn't get to it in time.
I was given one suggestion about winter coming, that it would be nice to put out a note when something public, I don't know, on social media or something,
Mhm.
how long people have to clear their sidewalks. It's a constant reminder, like with property management that I do,
Yeah.
but that was a suggestion that was made to me.
Oh, that's a great suggestion. That's
Mhm.
something we could probably put out.
Okay.
Yeah, awareness is always good. We don't want to be out there tracking people down for not shoveling.
Yep.
We have better things to do, but it is a necessary
And they don't
thing
like
as
getting
well.
those tickets, so.
No. So just, yeah, keep in mind with that code enforcement, we do send out notification letters before any enforcement is taken, letting them know that you have, in most cases, you have 30 days to finish this or fix this situation. And it's only after that letter has passed and they have not made any contact with our department or the police department before any more action is taken. So in every case, they've had adequate time to at least respond to somebody. So. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I gotta apologize too. I don't have any slides. You see, they only gave me 5 minutes, so I wasn't gonna have time to put slides in, so we're just gonna have to skip that. I am the city electrician, the only one in my department, so we'll skip the flow chart also. On a daily basis, I am responsible or work with all the other departments, all municipal owned buildings, streetlights, bike lights or bike trail lights, airport, wastewater, fire, PD, water, municipal building, work with all those departments on a daily basis. So at any given time, I could be at one or all of them throughout that day. Work with water department on monitoring Diggers Hotline, for marking any city-owned utilities as well. On call 24, 7 days a week, 365 for any electrical emergencies that would come in. If I'm out of town, we always set up for local contractor. My brother Jeff was a city electrician, I'm sure everybody knows. So if he's in town, so we always have coverage so that if there is an emergency, that there is somebody available to cover that. As far as 2025 accomplishments, the Madison Avenue light poles, we're able to get all those replaced from the carbon steel ones to all aluminum poles with LED lighting. So that was done. I think Ben mentioned it, that the municipal building, we're upgrading all that to LED from fluorescent. As far as next year goes, the goals would be to try and get more departments too, as they're switching out to go from fluorescent or even incandescent to LED. The big thing for CIP next year, I think the city manager alluded to it, is that I will be coming back for a new bucket truck. It is a sizable amount. It's right now, I think 170,000. But we were able to, talking with Tom from DPW, we're gonna be able to house it there. So instead of, about $200,000 to get it to fit into the building where I'm at now, they'd have to cut it down. It'd have to be specially made. So we're gonna actually house it up there. So that saves us a lot of money. So that's a big one. Yeah, and then 27 and beyond, I think we're just looking at replacing traffic controllers in CIP and keeping upgrading our traffic signals. So any questions?
Well, for a new truck, we should have had a PowerPoint. No, I'm kidding.
There'll be another presentation on that before the new truck is purchased, trust me.
I will bring pictures of the bucket truck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick is one of our important utility players, meaning that he kind of goes where he needs to go and
Yeah.
does what he needs to do. And I think the operating budget reflects that. So we actually do charge his time to various departments and various facilities, especially when utilities are involved because they are the ones with the cash. So we do. Most of our positions are funded from multiple different departments or funds. So that's why if you see in those operating budgets, why sometimes it doesn't make sense. Well, how is the city manager's budget for salaries only X amount of dollars? Because we're paid through other funds when, because I do a lot of work with other funds, including this wonderful budget document that's before you today. So right now, it's 5:06, so we're running a little bit ahead of schedule. But this is right now, it's our first scheduled break. I will offer Chief Peterson, if you want to go now, then do your presentation and then we'll take our dinner break. Does that make sense with for everybody? And then unless anybody needs a break right now. Okay.
Well, thank you. It's always enjoyable to brag about our department up here. So we'll talk a little bit about 2025. One of our big accomplishments was the approval of improved ISO rating from a 3 to a 2, which, as we talked about earlier this year, it drops us to the top 5% of the departments nationwide and Wisconsin. So we are incredibly proud about that. And that goes to show directly the council's investment in our department and our staffing. And that's the really only way a department can achieve that. We completed our 10-year contract with the townships, and I'm on my tour of each township to discuss our budget in detail. But that was a significant milestone in our department too, which really gave us some long-term stability. And as you may know, in this area, the borders in the townships consistently shift a little bit, and which makes it difficult to budget and plan. And that 10-year contract was certainly a win for us, but also a win for the townships. And as we discussed last night, we had our union contract finally ratified by the council and the union, and we're really pleased about that. And that was completed in just one meeting that we spread over 3 weeks. A couple of new programs that we're really eager about. One of my missions was expanding our community outreach and our risk reduction. And so we've instituted a elderly fall prevention campaign that's been going really well, led by our paramedic, Michaela Jerkins. And she's out in the community doing presentations, showing elderly different strategies to reduce fall and working with some other service organizations. So we're really pleased about that. And that's an investment we make that we don't see immediate dividends on. But the elderly population makes up a significant portion of our responses. So anything we can do to help them pays off in the long run. We also started partnering with hospice to work with them to make those types of incidents run better. And hospice patients are a special population. They have special needs and special care plans. And so the coordination between emergency services and their nurses is important. So we're partnering with them to put in procedures to make that care much easier. We've also expanded our fire prevention work in the elementary schools. And this year we had our first Public Officials Day that some of you attended. We also are really interested in improving the training on our department. And we had a really great hire earlier in the year, which was Captain Lawrence that came over to us from Janesville Fire Department and made a lateral transfer. And he's our full-time training officer now for both our full and part-time staff. We instituted a new leadership series, and it's very important that we're focusing on our next generation of leaders. And so the leadership series was bringing in outside speakers and in-house command and leadership training for our staff. Lastly, paramedics are a continuing issue to find and retain them. And so our initiative is to grow our own. So we have 2 people in school right now that are full-time members, and we have 1 member that's in EMT school. Did I get ahead of my slides? No, I'm doing good. And lastly, our department is selected to pilot an ultrasound scanner program, a portable device that we'll have on our ambulances that was paid with donations. That will helps our staff better treat cardiac issues of all things with the scanner. So this year we hired 3 new staff members, Justice Reith, Nate Lawrence, and Cody Northrup, and 7 new part-time members. So we're continuing to recruit really, really great members. We had some significant retirements of Chief Reel, Nick Reith, and the Armstrongs both retired, which left a major hole in our department that we're trying to fill. So total, we have 40 members, 16 full-time members and 24 part-time members. So our initiatives for 26, as we look ahead, we're expanding our training program. The staff trains throughout the day, and we get our entire department together on the first 3 Tuesdays of the month. We're expanding that and adding weekend drills that we can spend a little more time on it. And we're also expanding to have drills with our neighboring departments, which is a requirement. It's really great practice, but also a requirement to maintain our ISO rating. We're continuing to do command staff training and get advanced certifications for our full and part-time command staff. And those 2 paramedic school members that are in paramedic school are due to graduate next June, and that's when the work really begins. So we'll do a lot of our field training with them before they're able to operate on their own. We also are invested in a part-time staff with the promotional testing for them and ongoing recruitment of new members. And lastly, as part of the CIP, we'll be looking to put a new battalion vehicle in service and a new portable rescue boat. For our community outreach in 26, we're expanding our elderly care classes to go directly into the facilities, into the assisted living and independent care facilities to work with them directly, expand our public and CPR and stop the bleed training at our fire station. And as we discussed earlier, expanding our fire inspection program to have a new self-reporting system. And then lastly, our emergency management readiness is a priority, and we'll be upgrading our emergency operations plan for the city and having a tabletop simulation of a disaster. This is our capital improvement plan for 10 years. Besides the battalion vehicle and the portable rescue boat, there are no major purchases in the next 7 years other than the engine that's coming up. And I will note that with the long lead times to make emergency vehicles now, which is upwards of 3 years, we need to get ahead of those. And I know it's difficult for the council to look that far ahead and make those decisions, but that's the only really way we can purchase emergency vehicles. So with that, at our next council meeting, we'll be bringing forward a request to purchase a new engine that's been in the CIP. These are our two budgets, as you know. We have an EMS budget and a fire operations budget. I'll note on the left there for our revenue, the vast majority of our EMS fund revenue comes for our fees for service. And that's Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. And we continue to spend a lot of time on that to maximize that return. And working with our billing company and our reporting to make sure we're receiving every dollar that we're due. Because presently we get about 20-some% of what we bill out back from Medicare and Medicaid. So it's real important that we spend time on that and maximize that revenue. Besides staffing, you'll notice on our EMS operations budget, the EMS equipment is a significant expense. And if you can imagine when we run a cardiac arrest, the hundreds and thousands of dollars we're spending on equipment and medications for each one of those. So, and as everything else, those prices continue to really get expensive. And lastly, our fire operations budget. The really two important things to note on this one is that our fleet maintenance continues to go up and up. And we're really fortunate to have in-house staff that does a lot of the work themselves, and the Public Works Department that does a really terrific job of doing work on our vehicles. And we only when absolutely necessary do we send the vehicles out to fire service repair service. But we're able to save a lot of money with doing most of this work in-house. And then the last thing I'll note on there is the part-time salaries of 6%, which is the greatest bargain in the world. So we have 24 really great part-time staff members that are costing just 6% of our fire budget. So a real great force multiplier. And finish by saying, although we call them part-time staff members, they're really volunteers. And they give a significant amount of their time and effort to the city and to the department, and really an integral part of what we do. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or go deeper into any areas.
Aside from the Medicare and Medicaid patients, how is the collections for private pay?
So we have a service that does our billing that everybody almost in Wisconsin uses, but certainly in Jefferson County, that takes our runs and then bills out to private insurance and Medicare and Medicaid. And then we'll seek to recoup those funds from them based on what we charge. So, and then they take a small percent from that. That answers your question.
Well, I think maybe I'm getting it. So there's always going to be some uncollectibles.
Yep.
But like, is that of any concern or?
No, that's a small percent. With Medicare and Medicaid, we can charge kind of whatever we want. They determine how much they're going to pay back. It's a set formula based on our area and the area expenses and costs of living. So the only options we have with that is make sure we're reporting exactly right to them, because if they get a report that's missing any area, or they don't feel like our treatment was worth what we're charging, then they'll kick it back and not pay us. So that's why it takes so much effort on our part and our billing company's part to get every dollar we can from them. Hope that answered your question.
Thanks.
I will also mention that Michelle and Captain Vorpal spent quite a sizable amount of time seeking some supplemental Medicare and Medicaid payments over the last year and a half, and we should be receiving those funds at some point in the future, hopefully. Our EMS fund, as I think everybody understands, is a separate fund from the general fund. And as Chief Peterson pointed out, is the revenue sources are that run data and our contracts with the towns. So at this point, the general tax levy does not contribute to that fund. However, that may not always be the case depending on how expenses continue and how revenue shakes out into the future. So right now, it's just run income and town contracts. But if I had a crystal ball in 5 to 7 years, I would say we'll probably be supplementing that from levy dollars. I will also just mention, I'm sorry, Kyle, just the capital improvement stuff. I think this council may or may not remember back in 2024, which seems like a really long time ago now, because of the lead time on that ambulance. did authorize the purchase of the ambulance with the understanding that we would be borrowing in 2026 for that ambulance. Chief referred to the engine. That is a project he will be bringing back to the council to authorize for borrowing in 28. So we don't have to pay for that equipment until we receive it, but we do have to order it in advance.
That was gonna be part of my question, the ambulance, that's still on track for
Yes,
26?
December of 26 or January of 27.
Okay. It's sad to think that we have to stretch out that far in advance to order these
That's
vehicles.
correct, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so most of you will recognize some of these slides, at least the basis for the slides anyway, but I did change out some of the photos and some of the information is improved, so. Anyway, so Public Works and Parks operations, or Public Works operations. I'll talk about the primary and ancillary duties we have that we serve the public with, and our purpose, our staffing levels, 2025 highlights of the things that we did and accomplished, and then 26 plans. So we have some, we're working on some plans now, but I'll go through some of those a little bit with you. And then 2026 general fund budget, I'll just highlight a few of the things that you'll see in the budget, and then I'll go through our CIP for this year. So, all right, let's see if this works. Good. All right. So under our operations for Public Works, we have primary responsibilities and ancillary. So we do have some seasonal things that we do and some on and off duties that we take care of for the city. But under our primary responsibilities, we manage all the public streets and parking lots, roughly about 134 lane miles of roadway. Stormwater collection system, we managed about 20 miles plus or minus of pipes underground, 810 manholes, 1,600, a little over 1,600 catch basins, and 115 outfalls. And all those outfalls end in the river. So there's 115 pipes that end up in the river from the city, and that collects all the water in the city and takes it there. Sanitary sewer collection, we have 67 miles of pipe, and you can thank Nick Reith because he recalculated that for me this week, and it went from 64 to 67 miles. So some of the improvements we did do and some of the additions we have now are reflected in our GIS. And we have about 1,600 sanitary manholes in the roadways. Street signs, we manage those by maintaining them, replacing them, and installing. We have about 3,000, a little over 3,000 street signs. Terrace trees, about 4,000 terrace trees in the city. And we maintain all the city-owned fleet, which is in excess of 100 different pieces of equipment. Our ancillary or seasonal responsibilities would be snow removal. That's a fairly regular activity here, although it ebbs and wanes a little bit for us. But we do have downtown decorations around the holiday season. We do place barricades for some of the other city-sponsored events and some other outside-sponsored events. We run the e-waste and appliance recycle. We manage all residential brush and leaf collection. And we do take care of all the summer terrace lawn maintenance. So all the terraces that the city owns or in front of the publicly owned properties, we maintain those terrace areas. So the purpose of the Public Works Operations Department is to maintain the city's transportation infrastructure, sanitary and storm sewer collection systems, and terrace areas to promote the health and welfare of the city residents, businesses, and visitors. And we do all this by providing quality work with available resources in as timely and efficient manner as possible. And the upper right-hand photo is just about everybody but me and one other gentleman. So that is the entire group that does all the work for the city. My operations team, you'll see we have staffing as of 2024 was 12 team members, and we still have 12 team members. We are currently hiring. We have advertised on and off here over the summertime to try to get qualified staff members, but as with all the other departments, we struggle a little bit at times, but hopefully in the near future, we'll fill a couple of the remaining open positions.
Are those the years on the job there, Tom?
Yes, I'm sorry. I wanted to show that. I like to show that because we have some of the longest tenured employees with the city working for us. Micah Kushke and Rob Stein are both there in excess of 20 years, and that's pretty great to see. And we do have a lot of other longtime employees, 10 years or more. So under the 25 operations highlights, so some of the things that we accomplished.
Where'd you go? There we go. Some of the things we accomplished in 2025 under pavement maintenance, we implemented a street repair and maintenance GIS application, which has really helped us manage the areas within the city that need work, the call-ins that we get for potholes and patching, and then also manage, what areas we want to tackle each year. We planned and base patched 12,000 square feet of asphalt this year, which is about 319 tons of material, which actually that is the highest amount that we've done since I started here over the last 7 years. We planned and potholed 12 tons of material in the roadways, and we crack filled 143,000 square yards of roadway, which amounted to just over 10,000 pounds of material. In 2026, we plan to improve our GIS collection data by collecting more detailed information, allowing us to better plan for the future. And then base patch, we're going to plan for another 12,000 square yards, and crack filling, we're going to try to bump that up a little bit in some of the areas of the city that need it the most. We have a couple other areas, sanitary and storm sewer collection systems. We manage those areas. We maintain those. This year, in the sanitary collection system, we've currently cleaned to date 70,000, a little over 70,000 lineal feet of the collection system, and our goal is usually about half of the system every year. We plan to meet that goal by February, so we'll have about 170,000 lineal feet cleaned by the end of February. Complete system cleaning by the end of February. That just allows us to get through the winter time when we have to have some of that busy work. We can't be out doing some paving and those things you can't do in the cold months. So, and we also repaired 12 manhole tops and inspected 176 manholes. For 2026, we'll continue to again improve our GIS data collection and records. We will plan again to clean 50% of the collection system. Our staff training will consist of training the entire staff on confined space entry. And we're going to plan to repair 15 manhole structures with bad flow lines, so the bottom of the manholes don't flow very well. So we'll plan to climb down there and fix those. In 25 for storm sewer, we cleaned 4,800 lineal feet of pipe. We improved our GIS application to track our annual cleaning and inspections. This is something we added this last year. Prior to this, not a lot of cleaning took place for storm sewer pipes. So this is an added service that we're kind of going to go track a little bit further and get deeper in. And we swept approximately 400 tons of roadway debris off of the streets to date. That will increase greatly before the end of the year as we have leaf pickup come up. So in 26, we're going to utilize our GIS data collection system to maximize time in the field. This will allow us to better schedule the cleanings and the areas of the city we want to get to first. And then continue planned activity cleaning for the collection system. So we'd like to go take a longer look, a 5-year plan to clean through the city and manage that storm sewer system a little bit more active as we do with the sanitary sewer system. And then we will also continue to inspect and replace deteriorated storm structures. So in 2025, under the urban forestry and maintenance, we removed 100 dead trees. I think it's a 101, but don't quote me because one tree is a little iffy whether or not we cut that one down or it fell down. So, but that's on the list. We did replace that one. So we restored 60 trees this year. The discrepancy between what we remove and what we replace generally amounts to buried utilities or overhead power lines. So some areas we cannot replant where we had trees just based on what's been added for utilities. And we comprehensively trimmed in work area 4. So the map on the left side of the screen, you'll see that red star, that is work area 4. So everything from Main Street over to the river and south to our border is the area we worked in this year. So by the end of the winter season, we'll have cleaned and cleared and trimmed all of area 4 and moved to area 5 for 2026. Again, this is something we've been working on is the forestry GIS data records. We're trying to track quite a bit more of our maintenance activities and trimming activities in there. So that's something we'll add for 26. Right now we've planned and scheduled removal of 60 dead or diseased trees, and we'll restore back somewhere between 55 and 65 trees. Right now we don't have all the utilities located, so it's difficult to figure out what we're going to put in. And then we'll work in area 5 for trimming.
So you'll see under the general fund budget highlights, I think the biggest thing to point out is that we really held the line on the new facility budget for maintenance. One of the reasons we did that is because it is new and it requires less perpetual maintenance, yearly maintenance anyway for the time being, but it'll give us time to kind of grow into the new facility and figure out how to better budget for the future. Increased material costs required some minor adjustments in some of the supply accounts. You'll see that in those line items. And our quality salt management program and increased use of brine allowed us to reduce the budget on our salt purchase this year, even though the state purchase agreement did raise that cost per ton by a few dollars. And then under the CIP highlights for 2026, these two items that we've requested in the CIP will increase our performance and productivity. It'll provide for added safety for our employees. It'll add some efficiencies and it will reduce long-term maintenance costs. We've asked for a single axle wing plow truck with a salter, and we've also asked for a wheeled excavator to replace a couple of older pieces of equipment that we would like to get rid of as soon as possible.
I will just point out, Tom, how many things did you actually request and how many things are included in the CIP?
I requested.
I just want to.
I requested 7 items and I was allowed 2, which is fine because these are the 2 most important pieces that we need. Yeah, well,
Our management team is highly skilled at prioritization.
Yeah.
So we certainly don't ever want to bring a budget or a CAP or anything to this council without a way to pay for it, which means that we have to prioritize items. And these are the 2 items that Tom prioritized out of the 7 that he requested for 26.
yeah. They are the most important.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
I agree. I agree.
Sure, you should tell.
You can ask, you just won't ever always
right.
receive.
Is there any questions I can answer for anybody?
How long have you been using the GIS?
We have had a GIS system here in the city since 2015 or 16.
Okay.
My department has used the GIS pretty exclusively since about 2021. Prior to that, it's handwritten records and spreadsheets. So we've converted many of our daily activities and our annual activities over to using using the GIS as something, and we track the work as it's in progress. So many of these things are live, so we can see, the areas that the city crews have worked in. As soon as they're completed, they can check a box and it'll show up on our GIS for us.
Well,
So
it's definitely got to improve your timetables and
yeah, well,
efficiencies, is
it-
what I was trying to say.
yeah, it allows us to track things that we wouldn't normally have thought of as part of our maintenance program, which it's more important now than ever because it costs a lot of money to buy the materials to do the maintenance. So
Thank you.
I just want to point out one major thing you forgot in there
what's that?
and the completion of your facility.
Yeah,
That
I purposefully left it out. So now I purposefully left it out because I have spent a lot of time in front of the council giving everyone updates on this. I'm super proud of that facility. It is serving us daily very well and it'll serve us for the next 50 years. And it is a wonderful thing for us. But, again, I've spent a lot of time talking about it. So I wanted to cover the other things that we did. We did more than just build that facility.
The 400 tons of roadway debris that
Yeah.
is removed
Yeah.
is probably a collection of all sorts of things.
Mhm.
Some hopefully is compostable, but what happens to all of that tonnage?
So we have taken the time over the last 3 years to have that material tested to make sure it's inert and it's safe. So much of that material is safely disposed of in our fill site, so we don't have to worry about harming the environment at all. The leaves, when we get to leaf pickup, all those leaves are 100% composted and they're hauled to a facility that handles that for us.
And to Tom's point earlier in the presentation, 400 tons of debris, if we weren't cleaning and sweeping that, would all end up in the river because they would go eventually to the outfalls.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, just click on. It's next. I did slides. So we're gonna start, hopefully. Maybe, just click. Yeah, it's not working. It's talking. I'm talking. There it goes. Okay, we're gonna start with a little history of the wastewater treatment plant. So I've found some pictures over the years, starting with the top left. The city has owned and operated a wastewater treatment facility since the first plant opened in 1934. The original plant was located along Riverside Drive, near the current south entrance to Rock River Park. The site was decommissioned when the current facility opened in 1974, and the present day facility is located at 1600 Farmco Lane on the city's south side. A major facility upgrade was completed at the end of 2024. As you all know, it was a very big project. It took 4 years. The upgrade included the rehab of most of the facility's major processes, plus the addition of influent fine screening, tertiary filtration, and the modification and covering of our aerobic digesters. The city also has 3 lift stations to operate, and those are Sherman Avenue, Water Street, and Memorial Lift Station. All right. The utility and lift stations are operated by a staff of 7 full-time wastewater professionals. Staff currently includes a superintendent, 4-person, 4 technicians, and a specialist. During the summer months, the utility will employ part-time seasonal staff as well, usually 1 to 2. All full-time staffers require certification to become a Wisconsin DNR certified operator. So a little day-to-day and statistics for you guys. The utility treated approximately 2.7 million gallons a day and 968 million gallons of wastewater in 2024. Last year, staff was responsible for spreading 573 tons of biosolids on 223 acres of local area farm fields as fertilizer. Staff is responsible for operating and maintaining almost 1,000 pieces of equipment, as well as monitoring our diverse industry, laboratory testing and equipment, as well as regulatory reporting. Staff work hard to safeguard public health and the environment, sending the cleanest water possible to the Rock River. As you can see in the picture, the left-hand side is the dirty influent wastewater coming in, and then the right-hand side is our effluent going to the river. So in 2025, it was a busy year. CIP projects completed included a TAS pump replacement, the purchase of 2 generators and 4 pumps for our Sherman Avenue lift and Water Street lift stations, replacement of our SCBA confined space entry equipment, replacement of the main building roof, which was from 1992. And then also in 2025, we had to finish up several 2024 projects, which included the main building flooring, the Pista and grit system, and the Memorial Lift Station valve and piping replacement. So staff has been busy. They've done a wonderful job keeping up with the day-to-day operations, along with their everyday duties. Let's see here, next slide. Okay, so the wastewater utility will continue to plan to meet the future needs of the city's residents and businesses. The utility regularly updates its facility plan, and a biosolids facility amendment is currently being developed to explore our future options for the biosolids treatment and disposal. PFAS substances, also known as forever chemicals, are also a concern to the utility due to the difficulty and costly measures it takes to remove these chemicals. We were just issued our permit, and we are testing our effluent 6 times a year for PFAS and our biosolids. And then after this 5-year permit, the Wisconsin DNR will decide if we have to do something about PFAS or not. The ongoing goal is always to decrease the utility's carbon footprint So the utility is undergoing an engineering study that will evaluate the feasibility of installing a solar field to offset a portion of our utility's energy costs. Improvements are always being made in electrical efficiencies by replacing older process equipment and the use of higher efficiency motors and variable frequency drives. In 2026, staff look forward to completing the update of the lift stations with new pumps, generators, and controls. Completed this task definitely gives staff confidence that when the river is high and the storms are in the area, our equipment's going to run efficiently and effectively. We also plan to reestablish the trail from the plant to the wastewater outfall at the Rock River. And it's degraded a little bit over the past 50 years. This will allow staff easy access to check the discharge and all the manholes safely. In the end, the goal is to always collect, treat, and release the cleanest water possible to the ecosystem. Our staff takes this responsibility very seriously, and we are very proud of it because clean water is worth it to us. Any questions?
The PFAS testing, did you say you're doing it 6 times?
Yes, we have to test bi-monthly, every 2 months, on our effluent going to the river, and then 1 time on the solids.
And then, what are you seeing for that? I mean, is it an alarming level? Is it
We
like steady?
currently, from what we have tested, we are seeing an acceptable level going out. We haven't officially sent in our first real test, but we have tested previously. So currently, I think we're going to be okay.
Thanks.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Well, Water Department, as you all know. Port Augusta Water Works was taken over from Wisconsin Gas and Electric in 1935. They'd operated since 1927. So wastewater is what, 1934? So we were the year after. So it's kind of coincidental there. So, our current staff includes me, a foreman, our 3 utility technicians. So, I mean, we do lots of things every day. We monitor and maintain 5 wells, 4 water storage facilities, including 2 above ground reservoirs and 2 ground reservoirs, with the total combined capacity of 1.6 billion gallons of water. We did test for PFAS too this year, twice. We've had no detect. So just want stuff fresh in the head. So, then we do testing all the time. We're constantly testing water daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. So like I said, that goes in with the PFAS testing and then all the other stuff that we've been doing. So, and we've had some good water quality these years. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I don't know if we shared that report with you, the UW Madison did a report card for water throughout the entire state. And we actually had some high ranks in there. So we had A's and B's. So I'll send an email with everybody and share that with you. I don't know if I got shared or not, but we're overseeing about 73 miles now of water main, probably about 615 fire hydrants now with the new addition there, probably about 970 mainline valves and 6,325 service line valves. So that'd be residentials, commercials, and everything like that. We locate all the city's infrastructure too. So we're busy doing all that right now. I think as the date, we got probably just a little over 900 locate tickets that we processed already this year. So, and that'll probably pick up a little bit now with TDS coming back to town again. So, we're a pretty dedicated team. We respond to numerous utility related emergencies and all kinds of different kinds of weather. So as we had some cases the other day here last Friday, we had a little bit of a hiccup over there. So, 2025, some of the highlights of that was our construction of year 4 of our water main replacement project. So we're always excited about getting some of that stuff out of the ground, getting new stuff in. So it makes our life a lot easier. So sleep better at night that way. We use that, get the funds for that from our rate increases that we've done. I know we've all bragged about this in the past, and Tom brought it up to our GIS system. That has been just a great asset for all of us right now. We continue to upgrade that every day. And that's what we use physically in the field right now. We don't have a paper map anymore. We just go out with our phone or tablets, whatever. So it's a big asset for us. And we continue to work on that every year with Laura in the background. Dan does a lot of it for us on the spot stuff here around town. So, we did along with the water main project, did a lot of spot repairs around town, servicing valves, hydrant repairs, stuff like that. So we keep busy every day fixing water stuff. So, we continue our annual water meter exchange program throughout the year to keep PSC compliancy on that. We have to change out meters in residentials every 25 years. So in commercial buildings every 15. So we keep busy just doing all that kind of stuff too. 2025, we got our Ford Lightning pickup truck that we waited a few months for, but that has been it's been a proven value. I mean, it's actually kind of fun to drive. So if I did not travel as much as I do, I'd probably buy one in a minute. I enjoy driving the thing around town, so it's kind of fun. So kind of the highlights of 2025. Like I said, it was an exciting year, busy year, as it always is. So 26 will be year 5 of our water main replacement project coming up. So and like I said in the past too, we can already see the reduced repair cost as far as brakes go. We didn't have as many till this last week, because that was kind of a weird week. I'm not sure what happened. Must have been something in the moon or something like that. Somebody said it was blue moon or whatever.
Supermoon.
What's that?
It's a supermoon.
Supermoon. There you go. So I'm not a big believer in stuff like that, but maybe it has something to do with it. So also in 2026, we're going to rehab well number 7. So that basically entails pulling everything out of it, checking all the casing, rebuilding the motor, stuff like that. So it's a big project too. So that we do hire out, but we have to I shouldn't say babysit, but we work with them hand in hand to get everything out of there. So also looking at the final build out of Ridgeway Estates. So Ridgeview Estates. Continue to investigate and document our water main service line stuff. We did 916 service line verifications this year to figure out what we have in the ground that we did not track on the private side. So we about 96% complete on that rate now. So that was a big task in 25, and going into 26, getting that plan going forward further yet. So it's going to be a little more work ahead of us yet. So working with Rebecca and Zach on that. So hopefully in another 6 months, 8 months, we'll have a better plan going forward on that whole service line replacement stuff. So what else we got here? That's basically just like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years, my 15th year up here, 3rd for the water. I don't know, I just always seem like I struggle to do this. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me, but I think after 15 years, it'd be like a piece of cake. But any questions? Next year I will have slides, I promise. I got pictures. You want to see pictures or questions, comments?
Doing a great job.
Look at that in 8 minutes.
All right.
Hello, everyone. So last night I stepped up here. I looked down at my piece of paper and realized I couldn't see anything. So the first time in the wild, I'm unleashing my glasses that no one has ever seen me wear. I don't know what they are. Don't. I just know I need them. I've hit that age. So 165 years of tradition, or 165 year of tradition of serious policing. I also was able to get a picture from our museum of our police chief in 1936, I believe, standing on his Henderson Excelsior motorcycle from the 1930s playing polo. And I just thought it was an amazing picture. So that's where that is, actual prior police chief for the city of Fort Atkinson. And then our current picture of our DARE and SRO for the school. They jumped into picture day and talked the photography company into taking their picture quick to look like the movie Step Brothers. So. Ooh, everything's kind of jumbled. Oh, no. But anyways, that's fine. It doesn't matter. When we look at 2025 and a little bit at the end of 2024, we had a lot of successes at the department. We're in this like really large growing stage where a lot of our older officers have moved on, retired, and we're bringing in a lot of new people. And that takes a lot of work to get up to speed, the amount of training and development it requires to always maintain the same level of service while having institutional knowledge leave and bringing in new people that have to be coached and mentored. And I think we've been doing a great job of bringing these people in, mentoring, coaching, developing, training to a level where people don't notice that there's a change. And it really comes down to a strong investment in really good recruiting, hiring great people, and then putting forth the time, the money, and the effort into providing them with the best possible training. One of the things you'll notice in our budget is we're spending a lot of money on training. We did last year and we also did this year and we plan to next year. So that budget has kind of changed over the last few years. Adding new additional employees, you have a little bit more money you need. But another nice thing about the amount of money we spent on training is that the state has provided us with more money than they used to. They used to pay $160 a year per officer. So we'd get a check for about 3,000, 3,400, somewhere right in there. Now that they've raised that, we're bringing in a little over 7,000 a year that the state training and standards is providing us. So that kind of compensates and is a reason why that budget has been adjusting as we get those funds that come in. I think I'm really lucky right now because I build this team and as time passes, I've been here for 11 years now. I inherited a command staff and a department. And as the years are going on, more and more people are being hired and promoted underneath me as the chief. So I look at it as my opportunity to build a really strong team that I'm proud of. And some of the positives I've seen is with a new strong command staff is I'm able to lean on them more to do some of the work so that they can hopefully take over for me someday. And one of the things I'm seeing is grant writing. We've always kind of done grants here and there, but over the last 2 years with the captains and lieutenants I have, we've been writing and trying for more grants than we ever have. And this year has been a great example of this. We got the Enbridge Safety Equipment Grant, which provided traffic vests and traffic directing gloves for everybody on the police department. That picture on the top left. And that was just before the holiday parade, where the first time we got to wear and have them all. We just were awarded the We Energies Foundation grant, where everybody, or 17 of all of our patrol officers and our detectives were able to get body worn safety lights. They mount on your shoulder. They can be a white light. They can be red and blues, whatever you need to do when you're directing traffic or anything working near and around the road or a location where you need to increase your visibility. We got a Wisconsin Chemical Testing Section grant this year for the purchase of a PBT. Those are $500-600 pieces of equipment. And so to get those things are great for us. Our TCPR grants, so telecommunicator CPR. Call 911 because someone's choking, someone is having a heart attack, they're not breathing. Our dispatchers are trained and certified to start telling that caller and walk them through doing CPR over the phone. So we got a grant to pay for that, and we're going to try for a grant this next year to recertify them so they can keep that training, and it's always good and fresh. And we always have gotten our Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest grant, pays for 50% of the ballistic vests that all of us officers wear when we're on duty. Those are $1,000. So having something to pay for 50% of that is a good grant that we get every year. And having that support of a command staff that can help us do that is a great thing for our agency. And sometimes, at the bottom here, I put sometimes police work has nothing to do with police work. And I really feel like some of the great things that we do in this community have nothing to do with police work. It just has to do with building trust and building relationships with our citizens so that when they do need us, they know who we are and we're not strangers. And we've had lots of opportunities over the year where we've been able to go out and do those things. And we try to brag about those on social media anytime we can as well. I feel like there's a slide missing. Oh, there it is at the end. I'll just go in order of them that they're here. So our capital improvement budget under our budget, we have some equipment needs that are important. Squad car this year, we do our best to maintain our fleet, have a really strong fleet so that when we're done with it, it's still serviceable and we can pass it on. Right now, we're set to get one vehicle, and then we'll be able to move a vehicle out onto another department in the city that might need it. And then also our body cameras are due for transition this year. It's a replacement, so we're going to get the same exact platform, but same company, but the newest version of that. We're having great luck with our body cameras and the infrastructure that's set up for that. And those are important because they increase our efficiency, they document situations, they prevent unnecessary complaints against our officers, and they can also use it as part of, as an investigative tool. So they're really important for us. And those are the two main purchases for equipment for the department. However, I'm stuck in this time where I'm in a building that's 24 years old now. Great building, no issues with the building, but all the different things within the police department, they're kind of reaching that end of life because we're at that time, 20 plus years, things are going to start going. So I'm learning more about boilers and HVAC and generators and sewage sump pumps and things that I really, you know, it's not my forte, but I do my best. We've got a generator that's aging, needs to be replaced. They estimated 16 years is a good service life on it. We're at 24. We've done our best to keep that thing running. But it's time now for us to move on with that generator. That's set as a capital improvement for the building. And then our boiler replacement. So we have two boiler system in our building. It's original from when the building was built. And we have been running off of one of those boilers for the last 2 years because one of them is kaput. The other one's running good, but I like hate to hope, you know, I don't feel like that's a good plan. So we've been watching that and incorporating that, and it's ready for this next capital improvement budget year. So those are two bigger projects in the building that have to get done. Is there any questions about the capital improvement items, those items? If you look through our budget for the proposed budget for next year, there's really nothing that's been increased too much. Everything is almost identical. We try our best to keep what we can, you know, to keep the money that we have and not ask for more. I completely understand that the police department is very expensive. Law enforcement is expensive, so we understand that. It's not lost on us, and we do our best every year to be as efficient as we possibly can. So there aren't really a lot of changes within the budget. So if you were to look at our police department, 22 sworn officers, 4 full-time dispatchers, 6 part-time dispatchers, and then administrative assistant in charge of records. This is the first year where we've had the organizational chart set up in the vision that I've had or that I've always wanted, where it actually tears off the way it should and the right people are in the right place. And it just took a long time to get there because of the structure I inherited. And it just took a while to get it to where it needed to be. But we have a really good structure with our 2 captains, one on the right in charge of investigations and support services. And then another captain, that would be Captain Ben Lindsay on the right now. And then Captain Dan Hefty on the left, who's in charge of all of the operations. So our patrol officers and all of the other things that go along with the operations of our department, special events, and training and our fleet and all of that stuff. And then our lieutenants that each take a shift, second and third shift, and in charge of the employees on those shifts. I'm really happy with our structure. I'm really happy we could get to a point where we could promote the right people in the right positions to have our department be as functional as it possibly can. Is there any questions about the budget or the capital improvement or the department that I didn't touch on?
It's very great to see your department does very good at community policing. You're not just out there writing tickets, you're out, like you said, at all sorts of events. So you get some communities and it seems like the police force is non-existent.
My biggest fear is to have people look at our police officers as strangers or as shadowy figures in a squad that they see drive by once in a great while. I want people to know who our officers are. We try really hard to make sure they know who we are.
I think Moose Tracks and Smitty help with that as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. A lot more than any of us. And then after that, it's like Officer Anger would be like the next most popular because of their. Yeah. I just want to make one last plug. I think that working for this city is probably the best place you could possibly work because you look at all the different departments. I can't do my job as effectively as I can without everybody else in this room. We talk about GIS and you ask questions about GIS. There was a lot of work that went into GIS.
GIS is the component that allows when you call 911 for my dispatcher to know exactly where you're calling from. GIS is important. Code enforcement. Without the help of our zoning department and JED and the things that we do together to work together in our community to keep it beautiful and to keep things the functional the way they are is essential. The facility manager aspect that we're going towards. I don't know anything about boilers. I don't know anything about jumping on the roof of my building to do things, but we do it anyways because we have to. And that's when I lean on people like Jeff and Nick and say, do you know anything about this? Can you help me? And then we get things done. Our fire department with training all of my employees on CPR and AED and maintaining that certification, us training together at the schools to make sure that if there is ever an emergency, that we are together and as a team and go in and do what's right. The museum, providing us a space to have training for crisis intervention is essential for us all to do our job the best we can. The electrical department, the things that they do, that he does for my building, putting in outlets so we could get our 911 system going, fixing lights, and hey, we just did insulation on the roof over these pipes, but I can't reach this spot. Can you come out with your truck and help me do this one little spot? Yep, I'll be there tomorrow. So like all of the things that we do together is what makes us amazing and efficient and effective. So thank you.
Chief, I would just like to say you had I don't remember the exact line, but sometimes police work is not police work.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes with some of the things you're saying is that I'm glad that it's that way. You know, I mean, I think I see that as a good thing because like you sort of just get this image in your head of you guys are out there, you know, writing tickets and dealing with crime and whatever. But sure, there is that part of the job, of course. But it is the community that we live in that allows you to do those sort of focus on some of those other community outreach things. And I think when you said that, I'm like, library work isn't like libraries used to be either. There's so much stuff that programming and things that are offered through a library these days, and the partnership with the other departments that we have is really incredible. I'm glad that you mentioned that because it is a source of pride for many.
And I could mention, I mean, wastewater. We had our sewage pumps go out and our building smelled not so nice. Who's the first person we called? We called Aaron. Hey, do you have someone that could come over here? Like, we're not sure what's going on.
Like,
And
right
they were there within 20 minutes and saying, yep, you got a problem and this is probably what it is. So like, I know that I can lean on people to get the information I need or to help me get done what needs to get done. So it's really like all the things that we do and all the money that it costs to do it, like it really is a great value. We really work hard to make it as good as possible with what we have.
The management team meeting this morning, which.
Nope, I ditched.
I sent him the question. Yeah.
And I did answer that question right when I got back to my office, but yeah, definitely important. I mean, just good, important stuff. So.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out because that's how we're able to move ahead. You know, we'd love to be able to hire another 10, 20 people to do all the stuff we do, but it's by working together that we can accomplish a lot more. So
sometimes the extra things that we do help us escape from the stresses of our job.
Yeah.
Like a few weeks ago, me and the two captains were on the roof insulating air conditioning lines. And we did it because, you know, it was going to cost like $5,000. And I'm like, there's no way that costs $5,000. We bought the equipment for $900 and in 2 hours we had it done and saved the budget, you know, $3,500. And we had fun doing it. So, and then we escaped from what we were doing. So it's some of those things that keep us going every day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
All right, good evening. Come on.
There, you got it.
There we go. All right. Talk a little Public Works, big picture here. So underneath me is the Public Works Administration. Primary responsibilities include engineering, stormwater utility, public works operations, water utility, and the wastewater utility. I wanted to highlight the engineering piece of it, as that was split out last year for the city engineer position, which we've been evaluating, bringing in-house or keeping it as is. But even with that, right now, that means that we're managing 5 different engineering firms at this time, right? So we have our engineering firm, Rupert Milky, who's our city engineer and has our street projects for the year. MSA, who has our 2026 street project for the year. KL Engineering, who is taking over our Banker Road redesign. Grafe Engineering, who has the Riverside Drive 106 project in 2030, which we've already engaged with for that. And Quam Engineering, who is finishing up Ridgeview Estates. So it's managing the projects and the project managers. And underneath you can see the actual individuals with Operations Superintendent Williamson, Utility Superintendent Armstrong, and Utility Superintendent Sweeney, which actually get all the work done every day. So some of my accomplishments since coming on 6 months ago is establishing a strong foundation, conducting departmental assessments, building relationships across the departments, and doing what I can to foster a team culture. I did take the time to meet with every one of the 30 individuals that reports up the structure to me. I think it was a great opportunity to get to know them, kind of hear their background, who they are, where they're from, what makes them tick, and gives them opportunity to air any grievances they might have, which I didn't hear any. I hear a whole lot, so that was great. That was great. And then there's of course construction administration, the continued management of the construction of Ridgeview Estates road network, and facilitated change in engineering services that we've brought forward over the last couple council meetings with that changeover from Quam to KL Engineering, and then completed the design on the Main Street South Ped Path project and bid for construction in 26 with the help of MSA. So I lost my spot there. 2026 goals, operational efficiencies. Continue to assess the city engineer position as we discussed to evaluate the pros and cons of a contractor position versus city staff. Completing financial guidelines for water, wastewater, and stormwater utilities. Implementing a sanitary sewer lining program. And the development of department-wide strategic operating procedures to ensure clear and consistent operations. I think whenever we can lean on an SOP to look at the way things are supposed to be done or have been done historically, that keep everybody moving in the right direction, so that when people do move chairs, there's some uniformity, we can keep moving forward. And then infrastructure planning, developing the lead service line replacement strategy, which Mr. Armstrong talked about. Continue planning for the annual main replacement, and then continue to lobby the Wisconsin DOT for progress on connecting highways, including Riverside Drive, 3rd Street, Main Street, Madison Ave, and Whitewater Ave. Make sure that we're getting all the funding we can to keep those up with the help of the DOT. Stormwater utility accomplishments for 2025. Continued improvements to the stormwater GIS layer to provide easy reporting. As everybody has mentioned today, GIS is our best friend. We can make a lot of data-driven decisions based on what we can put in GIS, and we become our own best friends when we appropriately record the work that we do on a day-to-day basis. The Milwaukee Inlet repair, which I brought to council last night to get that repaired to ensure that our stormwater structures continue to flow into the river appropriately. And rate adjustment, which will be coming to the council on the 21st for the stormwater utility. 2026 goals include operation efficiencies and community engagement. Working to get an intern in to help with some GIS updates. Actually had an individual approach me that's looking to get more involved in the GIS world and has a little bit of background schooling wise, but wants to get some hands-on experience. So it'd be a great opportunity to continue to update all our GIS, and like some of the staff had said previously, a lot of that data is paper records. So it's just, you just need somebody that can update historical information and put it in GIS. So then we've got a one-stop shop, and we're not back in the storage room here trying to figure out what happened in 1972. With that, implementing a stormwater maintenance plan and implementing an adopted drain program is something I'm looking to do for 26. I think it's a great little opportunity to get in community engagement. As Tom mentioned, there's 1,600 catch basins in the city. So if we can get some of those to, if there's one out front of your house and we can get you to adopt it and, just take that extra 10 seconds to clear the leaves or the debris out of it when you're there, it's a great little ownership piece and a little volunteer opportunity. Infrastructure planning for 2026, dedicate time in more accurately forecasting capital expenses tied to total maximum daily load implementation, maintenance of existing pipe infrastructure, maintenance of existing soft infrastructure, and tighter numbers on the annual replacement of storm elements in the annual street program to be better at our budgeting process through that. And then, as mentioned earlier, completing those financial guidelines. Transportation Fund, Fund 5. 2025 accomplishments include the water and road replacement, which was Eric Street, Kramer from Hyde to Jefferson, McMillan, Fourth, and Memorial, which totaled just about 3,900 feet of street work or water main that was replaced. The Ridgeview Estates, Hawthorne, Trillium, and Marigold and Peony. We are probably about 90% complete there. We just have one last connection piece to make on Marigold, and then all the infrastructure will be completed out there at Ridgeview, which will be great. And we can just focus on that Banker Road redesign. Kashanong Estates began the review options to move forward with that. As Rebecca mentioned last night, we'll have a workshop on December 3rd to continue talking about that as a team on the best options forward. And then the implementation of a few Wisconsin DOT grants, the TAP grant for the South Main Street pedestrian path and road diet, which was a $961,000 grant, and the Banker Road redesign, which is an STP urban grant for $1.4 million. 2026 goals include the South Main Street path and road diet, the design of Banker Road relocation with a Wisconsin DOT design taking place throughout 2026. Whenever it's a DOT design, there's just a lot more elements included. So there's just a lot of staff time making sure that we get that right so that we're prepared to let the project in later in the year and construct in 2027. And then sidewalk program development, looking to develop a sidewalk maintenance program as well as ordinances based around that sidewalk program as well to ensure we can tackle some of the aging infrastructure that we have throughout the city and our sidewalks. And then also the Riverside Drive design, as I talked about, it's slated for a 2030 project, but with that there is a lot of design work that's going to go into that one and a lot of communication. So we're just doing our best to stay on top of that one and make sure that we are ready to go when the opportunity presents itself. And then just to note, a project not moving forward was the South Main Street rehab between Whitewater and Rockwell. At the end of the day, bids just did not come back favorable, and staff chose not to move forward with that because it was just funding was just not there. Taxi program. Learned a lot about the taxi program. Service hours were reduced in 2025 to 800 hours. At our September 11th Transportation Committee meeting, the taxi Brown Cab did come and report out to say that ridership is still doing very well. They are adjusting their work hours to make sure that they don't exceed that 800 hours, just because previously they were quite a bit.
8,000.
8,000, I'm sorry, 800, yes. Not gonna get you very far. So it's been good to see that that's still being utilized and taken advantage of. You'll see that the numbers kind of ebb and flow based on the months. A lot of that is very weather dependent. From what they reported out, a lot of it can have to, is it raining? Has it been below zero for a week? How long do I have to wait for a cab? I'll just walk if it's going to take me an hour before one can get here. So, like I said, learn a lot about that and just going to continue to evaluate the city costs and level of service of that Brown Cab that we have in town here. The Loeb Lorman site, the 2025 update, as you may or may not know, the city cannot change the use of the property until January 1st, 2028. The city has submitted a remedial action option report to the Wisconsin DNR in 2023, and Stantec proposal brought forward on February 20th of 2025 to address some of these. And so at that point, they came on as our new consultant on the project. And right now they're working on the site investigation work plan. So once that plan gets approved by the DNR, then we will look at
what we actually have to do to move forward to get us where we need to be. So in 26, we'll review possible state and federal funding sources for remediation efforts and plan to implement that site investigation work plan so that when 2028 comes around, we are ready for changing the use of that property and putting it on the tax roll. Any questions?
I was like, wait, oh, that's me.
As Zach mentioned, the resolutions for the stormwater utility and wastewater utility rate increases, those will come before the council for action in later this month. I will just mention those are based on the data provided in the trilogy studies that we had conducted in 2024. So that is just continuing to implement those rate increases on the stormwater utility and the wastewater utility side. And those proposed rate increases, including a simplified rate case through the PSC for the water utility for the second half of 2026. The revenues in those utility funds are based on the increases associated with those items. So.
Okay.
May I just declare myself the adoptive parent of the catch basin in front of my house? Is there something formal I need to go through? If I promise to take care of it.
Eventually, there'll be something formal. In the meantime, it's yours.
All right.
I'll even let you take the one down the road.
No signs, though. We're not putting up any signs.
Little state.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, if everybody's okay, I think we'll just keep rolling. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, yeah, let's go.
Don't be too long. I normally don't have slides, but I did a little bit this year, some visual effects, so. Happy to say 2025 was a very nice year for our department. Not a lot of elections, which allowed us to plan ahead on things, do some just general cleanup around the office, planning for what's to come for next year, and a lot of training. We had some staff do a lot of training. I had a staff Deputy Courtney, she's working to get her clerk certification right now, so she was able to attend some conferences. They did some conferences. They did this crisis intervention training. We've all had that training. So it was really nice to be able to just kind of sit back and work on ourselves this year. So that was a good thing. I actually have a CIP. We don't normally have a CIP within our department, but we kind of took a look at this past presidential election and then this year with the April election and kind of looked around at some of our equipment. And while the equipment is fantastic and everything operates, we decided it might be time to enhance a few of the things we do and kind of do some minor upgrades on everything. Okay, so this is a DS300. So right now we have DS200. So what you're looking at there is not a lot different from what we currently have. This is what the upgraded will be. So earlier this year, we're discussing of getting a fourth machine. We currently have 3 machines. Getting an estimate for one, $15,000, lo and behold, okay, well, that's a solid number. And then we get an email from the county saying it's time to upgrade. Well, thankfully, the first machines we had them about 13 years. The county paid for all of those. So we have to pay for half of our machines, which is still a really great number. And then the number even came in lower than originally estimated. So upgraded the machines, they're going to provide a little bit faster as far as processing. So if I were to pull one of our machines out right now and were to turn it on and unlock it and get all the key codes and put all the passwords in there, it would probably take 3.5 to 4 minutes to where you'd be able to put a ballot in and count the ballot and read the ballot. I think now the process will be about 2 minutes. So it's advantageous when we're setting it up and taking it down at night. But overall, it just provides additional security. As you can see, audit logs, so for internal tracking. So if there's an issue, we're able to go through and see where it went wrong or what's reading it behind the scenes. Enhanced encryption allows kind of a little barcode on the side of the ballot that is identified that the machine would read. So I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but when someone goes to put the ballot in the machine, all the ballot machine does is take a picture of the ballot. It doesn't tally votes. It doesn't do anything but take a picture of the ballot. And if it's a 2-sided ballot, it takes a little bit longer. So think of it as kind of a copy machine where it's taking that picture. At the end of the night, when we close the polls, that's when we hit a button that said close polls. I have to put in a bunch of passwords, and that's when it goes through and it tallies all the ballots. So if it's a presidential election and there's 2,500 ballots in there, it's going to take 25 minutes for it to provide that tally. And that's when it starts putting out that tape. So new machines, enhanced capabilities, a little bit faster processing. Also looking Badger Books. So we debuted these in 2019 and they have been just amazing for our election processes. So if you remember prior coming in, standing in line, it was according to your ward. So you'd stare at a ward map and try to figure out where you are. And then you're just like, well, I know where I'm at. Why can't I find it on this ward map? And then you go to the ward table or you go according by last name. And then you're thumbing through the books and trying to find it. And then everyone's pointing to the book and, oh, that's my son. They don't live there anymore. It's like, well, no one's supposed to be looking at the book, right? So this not only made it a little more secure for everybody, but it sped up the process. We can get a voter in and out within probably a minute and a half from the time they walk in, they check in, they get their ballot, they vote, and they leave. And it's certainly not a race, but it certainly eases when people just want to get in and vote and get to work or get home, depending if they come in before or after work. So we're looking to get an additional Badger book, and that would be a server is what they're called. So when you order Badger books, you get just server, which is kind of the hub. It's the parent computer. It's the one that all the other ones talk to. Right now we have one server and 7 Badger books. So when we set up for election day, we set up the server. It's got all the key passwords in it. It's kind of the main hub. And then we daisy chain all the others with hard wires. When we process absentees, we have to assign a voter number to absentees. Okay, so whether it's voter number 1, if we start processing right before the voter comes in the front door, and then we process those in a separate DS200, which was the machine we saw in the prior slide. So then we have a DS200 set aside that we're processing absentee ballots for. So if we have 2,000 absentee ballots, we're going to make sure we have 2,000 ballots in that machine. Having another Badger book server would aid us in making sure those 2,000 absentees double check, triple check in a third way. So right now we check them into the computer through the WISVote program, and then we check in a Badger book, and then we hit the DS200. Well, when we tally all the DS200s, election day voters, that's one number, and then we tally the DS200 with the absentees to WISVote, and I probably lost you all either way. Getting another server is just another it's another check and balance for us and for internal controls to know that we have every ballot accounted for. So this is all within the $25,000 that we have for the CIP. So, and this other one is really exciting. So we are going to replace the mats in the gym, and I actually have, yes, I know. So it will be black, but it's going to be this material, this 22 ounce. So happy to pass those around if you all like to see them. I visualize it. I don't know if you brought fun stuff to hand out. Either way, if anyone has, if anyone has seen these, smelt these, felt these, aftermath, I mean, it's time to go. They've been over 30 years, I think. They're in rough shape. They're so rough that when they get a crease, the crease is stained. You know how you can iron it out eventually? No, you can't do that with these. There's duct tape on them. There's tears in there. They're horrible, right? Ben, they're horrible. And his crew hates putting them out. So it is a little bit of investment, but I'm happy to say that we get a safety grant from our insurance company every year that we can apply towards different aspects, different things that we do. So we try to share that around the departments. So 1 year with the safety grant, we got a Tommy gate on one of the trucks. So this year I'm able to apply some of the safety grant to the purchase of the new mats. So I'm going to be very territorial of them. If other groups want to use them, they might have to pay a rent or something. So that's the other big piece that we're hoping to. Every year we have people that are tripping on them, slipping on them. They get caught up wrinkled. Last year I had a woman fall and bang her knee and she was bleeding, and it was like, it wasn't anything serious to call the aides, but we have our little first aid kit, so we were able to tend to her. And her husband was a lion, so he followed up with me a lot, and they were so thankful that we helped them. But either way. And then operating budget, with a little bit of funds we have left this year and then some funds next year, we're just going to do some other upgrades. So the top left is some stickers. Everyone loves their stickers. Amazon is crazy now because we found some that are glittered. So we're just going crazy. Everyone loves their stickers. We're getting new tablecloths, actual tablecloths that we'll be using. Right now, I don't know if you know it, but what is on there is actually twin bed waterproof fitted sheets.
From what
And-
year?
Yeah, well, I don't even know how long they've been around. They're really gross. And then we have the Velcro flags. Well, if the Velcro flag, if it was taken off the skirt covering, and then the next year they put it on, if there's open tape or Velcro, it's always snagged on my workers' clothes. So then they put tape over it. So then there's new Velcro in the neck. So it was just became a mess. So now we're going to get some really nice tablecloths that are washable and we can take care of them. On the right-hand side, table signs. So when we had the sneeze guards, we'd call them, from Lovely COVID, we were able to put signs on them that said check in here, right? No one reads signs. So now the signs are back on the front of the table. Well, if you have voters standing in front of the table, no one's going to see them. So we found a really good deal on this, thankful the Amazon discount days right now. So we're getting a lot of those, and they'll be sturdy enough, and then we'd be able to put our signs in there. Finally, the lower left is just a basic storage bin, but what you can see is there's little slots that we can put zip strips and locks. When our absentee ballots come in and we check them in, we've been using boxes, paper boxes, and rubber band them and tally them, and we'll put them in the vault. But I want something a little bit more secure. Unfortunately, there's always things going on with elections. You want to make sure that everything is documented and secure. So now we'll be using those bins, and we'll be zip tying them and making sure that everything in there is accounted for. So lots of checks and balances that we do. And that's it for me. The other updates, like I said, on there, just some signage, safety features, just the storage, and I think that's all I have. Okay, thank you.
You grab the mouse.
You don't want to stand up there?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
I don't know what we're gonna do with them. I don't know. You don't want them.
Okay. Should we keep rolling or do we want to take a break? Keep rolling? All right, here we go.
That's good.
Okay, so next is the city manager budget and CIP. There's no major changes to my operating budget. I have 6 accounts. They are on page 18 if you're interested in taking a look at those. Page 18 in the on the budget packet. Our 2026 CIP is a strategic planning process. So this has been in the CIP for a number of years. We actually and it's time. So this strategic planning process will help us set a mission, vision, and values for the entire organization. And that will assist individual departments in setting their own mission, vision, and values that are in line with the mission and vision values of the city of Fort Atkinson as an organization. So it's a really important process. It will include the public, it'll include the city council, it'll include staff, and we do plan to engage in that in 2026. And that would include hiring a consultant, and that is in the CIP. 2026 goals include closing TIDS 6 and 7. I have some more slides on TIDS. We'll talk about those a little bit. Our affordable housing fund programs and policies. I know you probably all, you may or may not remember that was a goal of mine in 2025, but it did not come to fruition. I will talk about that a little bit more later in this part too. Those strategic planning efforts, our 5-year operating budget projections, and then creating some new TIDS downtown, potentially 2 new TIDS downtown, and creating a new TID where the TID 6 closes in 2026 in the Clement Business Park. And then stemming from that strategic planning process, potentially in 2027, looking ahead at potential rebranding efforts for the city. So a lot of our funds have been talked about, including this EMS fund. So I won't spend too much time on it. But this is, I guess what I'm doing right now is kind of playing cleanup, right? So we've talked about the general fund quite a bit. We've talked about our utilities. We've talked about many of our other funds. But now this is all of the other funds that we have that are included in that budget document. So we briefly talked about EMS. In the future, we may be supplementing, but on the flip side, if the Medicare and Medicaid funding mechanisms change, that balance could grow because it is in its own separate fund. It doesn't roll into the general fund balance. It stays in its own fund balance. And those funds over time may help to offset equipment costs. Our lodging room tax cityscape fund, Fund 8, revenue is that room tax, and expenditures are on cityscape and chamber support and possible special projects relating to tourism. If you recall, in 2025, this is how we funded our portion of the Boost Fort Atkinson program that ended up awarding Tidy Tales 12 months of rent in our downtown. And just to note, the chamber is still working with the Enactus team and Choten to look at reverse pitch options and look at additional space in our downtown for new businesses. So we continue to work on that. The Affordable Housing Fund, that is Fund 9. All of the TID 8 funds in 2025 went to the Affordable Housing Fund. So right now there is a balance of $1.1 million in that fund. And then if 6 and 7 close in 2026 as planned, there will be additional funding in that. Staff and council will determine those programs and incentives with assistance from some consultants. I came to the realization that it's not realistic for me to be able to come up with that whole program, including applications and manuals and things of that nature on my own. So, and we can use funds from the Affordable Housing Fund to pay consultants to assist with the process, and obviously engaging the city council in that process as well. Our Capital Catalyst Revolving Loan Fund, we have not made any loans in 2025, unfortunately, but we still do have funds available. And we will likely need to apply for another extension to the WEDC. They have been very patient with us, Michelle and I. There's a lot of reporting requirements for funds through the WEDC. So it is one thing we kind of joke about, because it's not our favorite task, is creating those reports. So there are 6 loans outstanding in the Capital Catalyst Revolving Loan Fund. 5 loans are current, and we're working through one that is non-current, and that is a business that recently closed that had a smaller loan through that Capital Catalyst Revolving Loan Fund. So we will be looking at ways to recoup those funds. So we can talk a little bit about our tax increment districts now. So sometimes these terms are used interchangeably, TID and TIF. They're not actually the same, but people use them interchangeably, and it's not really that big of a deal. The TID is the actual district, the physical boundaries of the district, and then TIF is tax increment financing, which is the way that TIF assistance, for example, would be through a development agreement. So couple other terms, base value, the total, the personal property is no longer there. So the total real property, when a TID is created, that value increment is the increased value above the base. And then the tax increment is that tax revenue from the increased value. You can see it in action a little bit more in this slide. You've got your base value. If you're looking at the left-hand side of the slide, that base value, all of the taxes on that base value continue to go through to those taxing jurisdictions throughout the life of the TID. It is just the increase in value that goes into the TID to pay for debt, infrastructure, planning, project plans, et cetera. And then when the TID is terminated, where that red line is, then every single taxing jurisdiction benefits from that. One other term, the Joint Review Board, that is a body that representing all of the taxing jurisdictions that reviews and approves new TIDs. They meet annually and review those reports annually. When we have that meeting and we create the packet, I always send it to the council, so the council has an understanding of what's going on within our TIDs as well. So that TIF is a financing mechanism to spur development in an area that would not otherwise see the type, magnitude, or timing of the development desired. And it's the single most powerful tool we have to support economic development. And there are long-term benefits, as you can see from this, for all of our taxing jurisdictions. Currently, we have 4 open TIDs. Clement Business Park is ready to be closed in 2026, as is our downtown TID number 7. Those dollar amounts are the value of the increment. 6 will likely have about $146,000 of increment that will go to the Affordable Housing Fund in 26, with closure in later in 26, and then potentially a new TID going through the planning process next summer with implementation in the fall. And same with TID 7. And then our 2 newer TIDs, 9 and 10. 9 is on the northwest side. That is, we have a development agreement with Intrepid Investments for Ridgeview Estates. And TID number 9 pays for engineering, design, infrastructure, et cetera. That note anticipation note will need to be refinanced in 2026 with the first payment in 2027. TID 10 is on the northeast side. We currently have a development agreement with Fort Healthcare for Schumacher Way that they installed. That is a small agreement, but we are working with a couple different developers, one who's interested in a senior housing project, and they would like to start in 2026. So there will be some things cooking in TID 10 coming up here as well. So what can TIF do? I'll show you. Well, look, there's a big apartment building. And there's another angle and some roads too. There's some roads. And then this is what this is. So what can TIF do? Well, this project would not have happened but for TIF. So it is very, as I mentioned, it's basically our only economic development tool to spur this kind of development. So I'm very pleased that this project continues to move forward. Obviously, this will be in our budget document throughout as a major accomplishment of 2025. So speaking of TIDs, and I just will go on a quick journey with me to look at a couple numbers here. So everything that's highlighted is going to change. The only levy that we know potentially right now is the city of Fort Atkinson's, which is on the bottom of that table. Those others will change, but those are the amounts requested by each taxing jurisdictions. So column B is the equalized value without the TIDs. I'm going the wrong way. Oh my, I can't stop this train. Okay. Whew. Okay, so those are the values. The taxing jurisdictions request amounts. They certify a levy to me. I put that number in there. It goes through a formula that creates this interim rate and then creates the equalized, the value with the TID. So that's a number I get from the state. Equalized value less the TID, that's a number I get from the state. And then the amount to be levied, we multiply the C times D, so that equalized value times the interim rate there, and then so that is the actual levy for each of those taxing jurisdictions. So Jefferson County would come to me and say, I need $3.8 million, and then I would throw it through this formula, and they actually need $3.9 million because they pay, they don't pay, but their portion of the TID gets added on to their levy, and then that comes to the city and is in our separate TID funds. Okay, so that's the amount to be levied. And then that's the tax increment. So those are the increment, that's 2 TID funds for expenditures in the project plans. So you'll see this again, but it'll be with more data. So this is our, just quick, our tax increment district values. So we have, I like to use nice colors in my spreadsheets to differentiate these from each other, but you can see the 4 TIDs, the full value in 2025, which I get from the state, and minus the base value equals the increment value, and then you multiply that times the interim rate to get the amount of money that goes into those TIDs. And then how we divide it amongst the taxing jurisdictions is shown on the next table there, and that shows which, how much of which taxing jurisdiction goes to which TID. So doesn't something I include in our resolutions when the council does finally approve the budget, or when that opportunity presents itself. So This then are the city's portion of of the tax increment. We have the comparison between 25 and 26. You can see that TID 8 is closed in 26, which is why the overall levy has decreased substantially. This is one of the main reasons we have a levy reduction for this this budget, is because TID number 8 closed. Okay, so you can also see at the table below that, we have our equalized value with and without the value of those TIDs, and then the difference there. And so our TIDs that we have increased in value substantially, but that overall increment decreased due to the TID closure of 8. That was a very successful TID. So the state has what they call the 12% test, and that means that no municipality can have more than 12% of their equalized value of the entire municipality within tax increment districts. With the close of TID 8, the city is at 2.72%, which means that not only do we have availability to create additional TIDs in the places that I've already talked about, downtown, maybe 2 downtown, 1 north of the river, 1 south of the river, and another TID in the Clement Business Park. But we could also do smaller TIDs for individual projects in different places in the city if they need support, or if it's infrastructure or an incentive to accomplish that. So we're in a very good spot, and we would be in a good spot to support additional development through through a new tax increment district or multiple new tax increment districts, as well as our affordable housing fund. Okay, this timeline you've all seen before. We've looked at this a couple times. This is we had a really nice workshop back in August of 24 to go through this, and I know it's a little small, and we'll see it all again, but it is basically outlines our plan for closing those TIDs. So 8 was terminated. The council passed resolutions in August of 25 to create affordable housing extensions for 6 and 7, and then we're scheduled in April of 26 to adopt termination resolutions for 6 and 7. And then throughout the summer, we can work with the Joint Review Board, the Plan Commission, and the City Council to look at some new TIDs and new project plans and see where we want to go. And that references TIDs 11 and 12, the creation for those. Okay, so part of what we publish annually for the budget process is our projected 26 end of year balances for all of our funds. So that is here, and I will note a couple things. There's only 2 of all of these funds that are negative, which sometimes, actually there's 3, sorry. I'll explain TID 9 in a minute, but so there's really only 2. Usually there are more than that, and usually it's a timing issue. And so I will say our general fund, that we continue to see a healthy fund balance. Granted, these are projections, but our wastewater utility, water utility, debt service, the fund balance in debt service is funds that we transferred from the TID to the debt service funds because some of our TIDs have outstanding debt. We wanted to close the TID, but we can't refinance the debt because it's part of other debt, if that makes sense. I'm open to questions on that if you have them. So we have some money in that debt service fund because it was transferred. It will be paid over time to pay off all of the debt from those TIDs. Our transportation fund is positive. It's not, it looks much more positive than it actually is. It won't be that positive at the beginning of 26. That is because we haven't paid all of our bills yet in 2025. So the negative fund there is the EMS fund. It's projected to be negative almost $42,000 at the end of 26. That again is just a projection, and if hopefully things will change with Medicare and Medicaid payments. The TID 9 looks like it's negative $976,000 at the end of 26, but that does not include the $1.6 million that the council authorized us to transfer to TID number 9 in 2024, I believe, late 2024, in order to pay for the rest of the Banker Road and Ridgeview Estates infrastructure. That is a loan. It's not just a donation to TID 9 that will be paid back. We do have a schedule of payments to pay that back over the life of TID 9. And then the CDBG close Lorman Street, that has a negative fund balance projection of negative 181,000. That is also timing. We will sell that property eventually. So we hope to close that gap when we sell the property. That's the goal. As you can see on the right-hand column, the property tax contribution, those are, again, the funds that we levy for. So general fund is the largest, obviously. We levy debt service. We levy to support the transportation fund, the TIDs, the library, and capital improvements projects. So if you compared this screen back to at the beginning with the beginning screen that showed the levies, they would be the same. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about garbage and recycling. You have in your packet the resolution, the draft resolution. The city has now signed a contract for curbside garbage and recycling collection with John's. That service will begin on the 1st of January. We are looking at $231 per customer as a special charge on the tax bill, pending city council approval, of course. We have been in conversations with John's. They do intend to deliver carts the last 2 to 3 weeks of December. And GFL will actually pick up old carts in December of 25, with just the stragglers and whatnot being in January of 26. So there will be limited time where people have multiple carts. We will communicate the best we can with everybody. We'll answer a lot of questions. I'm sure we'll put lots of information out there. We'll arm our city staff with the right information. There will be a transition. There will be some unhappy folks. There will be people who have multiple carts for a couple weeks and it will irritate them. But we will get through it. And, a year from now, no one will remember. They'll just say it was a smooth transition. But getting through it may not be as smooth. So that is garbage and recycling. I also wanted to touch base on our proposed fee resolution. That also, that draft document was in your packet for tonight's meeting. There were some changes, including that special charge on the tax bill for garbage and recycling collection. We had a couple new building permits, new building, building permit we need building permits for these things now, and we didn't before. The air admittance valve, fire suppression system, and those reinspection fees that the city council has already approved. Parks and Recreation had some replacement fees for missing and broken items and some new categories for municipal gym rentals. And the action will be requested on this fee resolution at the meeting on November 18th, so it's still in draft form right now. It did go to the Finance Committee back in September, and the Finance Committee did recommend approval of the fee resolution as proposed, and then implementation would be 1/1/26. Okay, are there questions on the fee resolution? Okay. Next up, I would like to talk a little bit about the classification and compensation study. So as we all remember, in May, the City Council approved a contract with MGT for a classification and compensation study. We spent a lot of the summer looking at comparable cities, job analysis questionnaires. We had staff interviews and other background information. The the folks from MGT will present the full report on the classification and compensation study to the city council at the meeting on the 21st of October. So you will get the whole background with the methodology. We did have a conversation about this at our September Finance Committee meeting. All of that information was emailed to the entire council, so none of this should be brand new. But what I wanted to just mention is that it moves the new classification and compensation, I guess the new compensation methodology will move from 32 pay grades with 3 steps in each pay grade to 17 pay grades with wide ranges within each pay grade, which will account for experience and skill level. So we did reclassify all of our full-time non-represented employees into this pay plan. The budget before you tonight includes a 4% bump in salaries to get people into this pay plan, and then a 2% cost of living adjustment in 2026. The original minimum, midpoint, and maximums that the consultants and staff came up with were based on 2025 data. If we just used those for 2026, we would already be behind. And so when I was working on some of the classification and compensation study items a few back in September, I actually was looking at the Biz Times magazine from September. So now we get the Biz Times magazine. So I found an article that was exceptionally timely. And it is, they looked at the private sector wage growth in southeastern Wisconsin from 2015 to 2024. And they had Jefferson County. So I took this data, which is from private sector, year over year, and put it into a chart. And then I put our city of Fort Atkinson wage increase data year over year into the chart. So what this looks like is over the last 10 years, city wages for non-represented employees have increased about 20%, whereas private sector in Jefferson County wages have increased just over 40%. So no one is asking for a 40% increase in wages except Chief Bump, because he's probably looking at WRS right now. But I point this out just to say that, we all do the work every day for a lot more than just money. But if we want to attract and retain high quality people to the professions, and we have a room full of them here tonight, we do need to continue to work on paying them according to our comparables and what they are worth. So you will get a full report on the classification and compensation study on the 21st with all, like I said, all the methodology and how we came up with these pay grades, including which positions are in which place, right? This is just, they're just numbers on a chart right now. But the positions and all those things will be in that, and we'll be able to see those. And again, with this, the goal is to get people to the midpoint. And then between the midpoint and the maximum would be based on merit. The grades would shift annually with a cost of living adjustment, and anybody between the minimum and the midpoint would also receive a systematic pay increase to get them towards the midpoint annually as the budget allows. So more information on that forthcoming. So a little bit about the 2026 proposed borrowing. So you have, you will also get a much more thorough presentation about this in December when our financial advisors come to the city council and tell us all about our current debt and what our future debt looks like. But on the left-hand side, you have the $3.4 million requested in this budget and planning ahead to 27 for the 2026-27 capital improvement plan for borrowing. And then on the right-hand side, you have the $3.5 million in refinancing from TID 9. Again, numbers on a page. I don't exactly expect you to see them. But the couple things I will point out is that we are looking at combining, first of all, the 3.4 and the 3.5 into one, because there's some economies of scale there and there's some efficiency. So if if we could wait until 2027 to do the 3.5 refinance. However, then we're paying Baird to do more work. We're paying Quarles and Brady to do more work. We're paying a premium on all that stuff. So if we can combine them into one, everybody wins, maybe except Baird, but that's okay. They're winning enough. So the let's see, that the column that I just pulled up here with that says combined debt service levy supported, and then estimated mill rate. So those are our debt service payments from the levied funds into the future. And I apologize that they don't have the years next to them, but that $2,097,000, that's what we're proposing in 2026 in the budget. 2027, it would go up about $150,000. 2028 would go up another roughly $150,000, and then you start to stabilize. So that is with the current debt service that we have, plus this $3.4 million in borrowing. This next column, the two columns show if we continue to borrow about $3 million every other year, which is what our currently we borrow every other year. With about $3 million every other year, you can see those debt service payments continue to increase and then stabilize around $2.8 million. More information definitely will be available about this. We're not requesting that the council make any decisions relating to the debt service tonight. Our financial advisors do anticipate that we will receive a lower rate on the refinancing than we're paying right now on the note anticipation note, and that because those short-term rates have come down since 2024. So they will present all of this in December as part of the parameters for borrowing, and that parameters for borrowing presentation and discussion. If those who were on the council last year, remember, we set the parameters for borrowing. This council says, okay, if when we go out for borrowing, the interest rate is between X and Y, go ahead and do it. And then Michelle and I execute those documents on behalf of the city. If what the interest rate we receive is outside of those parameters, we would not be authorized to do that borrowing. So we'll set the parameters in December with the anticipation of the borrowing occurring in, I think it was February of 2026.
So how long has Fort been in this cycle of borrowing every other year?
That's a great question. For the 4 years that I've been here, I participated in borrowing in 2022 and 2024 and then 2026. So practice.
Before it was just for specific projects, which didn't really help us because all it did was funnel focus into one area. Whereas now we're doing it more strategic, where it's not hitting our debt capacity, but it's able to keep us maintaining and functioning and still be able to stay within our threshold.
Right.
So yeah, it's not, I mean, I just pulled up the history and it was by year, like 2018 was for Rockwell, 2019 was for DPW equipment. So they were smaller and probably not as efficient as they are now.
So this slide just shows our borrowing capacity. So the bars in black show our existing principal outstanding. The bars in blue show that existing principal plus the 2026 borrowing. And then the bars in that tan color assume that $3 million every other year. So as you can see, we are well within our borrowing capacity. The full bar is the city's ability to borrow per state statutes. So we are still well within a very acceptable rate of, acceptable percentage of borrowing capacity. There are other municipalities who choose to borrow a lot more for special projects and for other things, and who are much closer to their capacity. We are not close to our capacity, which is a good thing, because every once in a while a water main geyser comes up in Mechanic Street behind your municipal building, and you have to fix it. And luckily, yeah, luckily, that project is not expensive, and we have very healthy fund balances. I do not anticipate we will have to borrow to fix that project, but something catastrophic could happen, and it's always good to have borrowing capacity in case it's needed for something.
Not bars are the state statutes, not our extra limited, what the council has previously enacted for, correct?
Correct. So those bars are based on borrowing no more than 5% of our equalized value, which is the state statute. This council has limited further to borrowing no more than 60% of the state borrowing capacity. So, and Justin and Adam with Baird will be able to explain that. In fact, I will ask them to add a chart to their presentation in December that calls out that percentage as well as this percentage, which is the state capacity.
The bonds, yeah.
Yes.
Below where they could be, and they even have some additional controls
Mhm.
in place, like
Yep.
sure that they're even further in a better spot.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions about the items that are being borrowed for are all outlined in that budget document. They're in the CIP. There's one, there's a CIP page that shows everything that we're planning on doing in 2026. And then there's, and how those things are being funded. And then there's another page that goes through all of the other funding sources. So every single project that we have proposed in the CIP for 2026 has a funding source, and all of those things. And that is one of the earliest slides I looked at when I had that $3 million number, and I said, this is where all of it's coming from. So those are where it's all coming from, and that's all in the document that was included in the budget, in the budget workshop packet for tonight. So remaining budget schedule, I know that's not easy to read either, but so this budget workshop tonight, and then the next thing we're going to do is send the notice of the public hearing and the budget summary documents, both of which you've now seen in this presentation. Those will go to the Jefferson County Daily Union, or the Daily Jefferson County Union. I think I say it wrong every time, but the words they don't make sense together. So I feel it's okay to make them up. Anyway, we'll send that budget notice to be published in the newspaper with the date of the public hearing. That will be published on October 21st. The public hearing will be at our regular council meeting on November 4th, and then with final budget and CIP adoption potentially at the November 18th city council meeting. So additional items that are going to come to you prior to that November 4th meeting, all of our budget narratives, right? So we gave you the numbers tonight. We kind of gave you a verbal narrative of what our goals are for 26 and what our CIPs are. But that will all be in writing as part of the budget document, because that's how we tell our story through the budget. All those budget narratives will be in there, as well as the cover letter that explains the goals the goals in 26, our accomplishments in 2025 based on the goals we set in 2025. And then we also go through staff changes, and we include the organizational chart, as well as all the other things that are in the final budget document. So the next version will be a proposed, and then that final version will come to you in November. Any questions about anything that you've heard tonight? I will just say one other thing, just because it was, Chief Bump referenced it and then, and Michelle referenced it as well. So we had our management team meeting, this morning, and I've been trying to, ask people kind of an introspective question at the beginning of these management team meetings. And this morning it was, what is one challenge you're facing right now where support from this team could make a difference? And I think everybody had something, and my feedback from that was, I need to give people time to think about these things, right? So, and I will do that in the future, but I think this just underscores the team we have, and we do rely on each other and support each other in our jobs, which are not always easy or pleasant, as you can imagine, but they become more so when you have the support of a really good team behind you. So I'm happy to answer questions. I'm sure the rest of our team here is happy to answer questions as well. And if there's feedback when you're, digging through those line items, Peggy, I know you're going to be digging through them. When you dig through those and you've got questions, please reach out.
I will. Thank you.
May I, so I've been through a few of these, 13 of them, maybe? No, well, no, but I honestly can say, like, I've never felt better about where we are as a city in terms of how we are run, how our departments are running, the financial position that we are in, the new things that we are doing. I really mean that. It's because of all the people in this room and the council and everybody. It is a lot of good work that goes on. I mean, kind of get goosebumps because it really is. I've always felt good about coming away from these meetings of where we are, but like we're moving in some good and positive directions where we're not just doing good things for the city, but we're doing good things. We're planning on doing good things for the employees as well. And I've never seen us in this spot where we're like, it just feels like the stars are aligning for us. So I appreciate all the work that everybody does to get us here, and this the work that's here, the reports of what was done in the past year and what we're looking to do in the next year. Gosh, it makes me feel really good about where we're heading.
Just kind of say the same thing, because when I first ran 2.5 years ago, there's a lot of misconceptions that I had of how the city was ran. And after being here through this will be my third budget cycle, it really gives a different perspective. And I do a lot more people better good if they actually sat in on this portion to see where the staff is going with and how diligent you guys are with your budgets. So I'm very appreciative of it, and glad that you guys have worked with me for the last 2.5 years to, get me up to date and teach me how you guys are taking care of the budget. So.
Night and day, that's all we do. Not just the budget, but
But everything does come back to the budgets in one way or the other. So. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything else from anyone? Otherwise, we can adjourn.